Chapter 1432. The Black Dragon religious leader shouted coldly as his body turned into a ray of light, and instantly charged towards Lin Xian. Beside him, the black flame domain burned fiercely, carrying an extremely terrifying energy. No one below the King realm could resist this kind of energy. Just as the black flame domain was about to envelop Lin Xian finally moved. His expression was cold as he waved his hand. Instantly, a dragon-shaped sword shadow dodged, forming an incomparable sword light. Then a green dragon sword domain quickly formed. Boom! The two domains collided, creating an earth-shattering sound. Cracks formed in the surrounding space. King domain? This is impossible. The Black Dragon religious leader was forced back, his expression extremely shocked. He looked at the dragon sword domain in front of him and exclaimed. There was nothing he could do. He didn't dare to believe that his opponent also had a king domain. One had to know that a king domain was an ability unique to kings. It was impossible for anyone below the king realm to have it. But now, a ninth heaven venerable had actually unleashed a king's domain. This was really hard for him to believe. Even though he saw it with his own eyes, he still didn't dare to believe it. Illusion, damn it. This must be an illusion. The Black Dragon religious leader roared crazily. With the black flame domain, his entire body was like a monstrous god fiend, emitting a powerful aura. He waved his hand, and a black spear appeared in the black flame domain. He held it in his hand. I don't believe that you can condense a king domain. All of this is fake. Don't try to lie to me. Now go to hell. The Black Dragon religious leader held the spear in his hand, and a terrifying power shook heaven and earth. A black spear shadow rushed forward like a huge dragon, covering the sky and covering the earth. The energy contained in it was too terrifying. It directly pierced through the void. Today, I will let you experience the true power of the Dragon Sword Soul. Lin Xian held the Dragon Sword Soul in his hand, and the Dragon Sword domain surrounded his body. His entire body was like a sword saint, incomparably sharp. Then he slashed out with his sword. A terrifying sword light spread out in all directions, and a loud dragon roar reverberated for thousands of miles. The Black Dragon religious leader's expression finally changed when the sword light rushed over. Only now did he know how terrifying the Dragon Sword Soul was. Although Lin Xian was only a ninth heaven venerate, the might of the sword strike was really too terrifying. The power contained within it made the Black Dragon religious leader feel the threat of death. It did not seem to be a sword light, but an incomparably terrifying huge dragon. The violent energy it carried suppressed the Black Dragon religious leader, to the point that he could not move. How is that possible? This is impossible. The Black Dragon religious leader's body trembled slightly. He actually couldn't control this kind of terror. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead. Fear, yes, that's right, it's the feeling of fear. How many years had it been since he felt this way? But today, he felt it again in the hands of a 20-year-old youth. No. I don't believe it. The Black Dragon religious leader roared crazily. Before the sword light descended, his body was finally able to move. Seizing the opportunity, he quickly activated his black flame domain and formed 3 terrifying black palms that slapped towards the sky. As for himself, he quickly retreated. Boundless heat waves surged as the 3 terrifying black palms slapped towards the sky, colliding with the dragon-shaped sword light in the sky. This was the Black Dragon religious leader's all-out attack. It contained terrifying energy as it ruthlessly slapped the sky. Instantly, black holes appeared one after another. However, such terrifying energy was unable to shake the dragon-shaped sword light. The sword light flickered, and the terrifying sword light instantly sliced apart the 3 black palms. Although the light on them dimmed a little, they still carried boundless energy, as they continued to attack the Black Dragon religious leader. Damn it, how is that possible? The Black Dragon religious leader's expression turned ugly when he saw this scene. At this moment, he finally experienced the taste of fear. This feeling made his entire body tremble, and even his black robes were drenched. Demon Dragon Spear of Annihilation. Facing the incoming dragon-shaped sword light, he roared again. Instantly, a black demonic spear flew out of his black flame domain. This long spear was pitch black and emitted terrifying demonic energy that spread for 3,000 miles. On the surface of the spear, There were black runes that emitted a heart-palpitating aura of death. The Black Dragon religious leader held the long spear in his hand and quickly swept it out. A terrifying spear light that carried the aura of death surged towards the sky. Not only that, his left hand pulled out a long black saber from his black flame domain. The long black saber was 90 feet long and completely black. It was like a demonic saber that emitted a cold aura. Infernal demonic saber destroy. He slashed out 32 times in a row, and the terrifying black saber light covered the entire sky. The Black Dragon religious leader's face turned pale. These 32 attacks contained all of his energy, and he even felt exhausted. The sky exploded as though it was the end of the world. A huge black vortex appeared and quickly spread out in all directions. At this moment, all the martial artists in Xia country raised their heads and looked towards the sky. They could feel a heart-palpitating energy exploding from the sky. It was like a giant beast in the abyss that wanted to devour the entire world. In fact, the entire Xia country was trembling violently. This was the Black Dragon religious leader's all-out attack, and it was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, it exploded in the sky. Otherwise, if it hit the ground, the entire Xia country would probably be reduced to ashes. However, the Black Dragon religious leader didn't relax. There was even a trace of despair in his eyes, because such a terrifying attack had only destroyed the dragon-shaped sword chi in the sky. As for Lin Xian, who was far away, he couldn't even touch the corner of his clothes. What? How is this possible? Damn it, I don't believe it. The Black Dragon religious leader roared madly, with an extremely unsightly expression. At this moment, he no longer had his superior attitude. Instead, he was roaring madly like a madman. However, in the next moment, his expression became extremely unsightly again. He noticed that the dragon-shaped sword in Lin Xian's hand was shining with an extremely bright light again. Another dragon-shaped sword chi was circling around the sword. As the leader of a religious sect, the Black Dragon religious leader had already reached the king realm. He could be said to be a peerless expert. There was no one in the southern heaven region who could subdue him. But now his opponent, a young man in his 20s, made him feel extremely threatened. In particular, the sword in his opponent's hand caused him to be extremely shocked. If his opponent's sword chi could be slashed out without restraint, he didn't dare to imagine the consequences. After all, he had used all his strength to barely block the sword chi from before. But now, he was about to face the second attack. Damn it, impossible. How can this kid be so powerful? The Black Dragon religious leader shook his head madly in disbelief. It was even to the extent that his martial heart was shaken. No, I can't let him use the second attack. The Black Dragon religious leader's face was gloomy. He decided to strike first. In the next moment, he held a black demonic spear and charged forward quickly with the black flame domain. Chapter 1433. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The two domains collided and emitted a resplendent light. Kid, go to hell. This time, the Black Dragon hierarch went all out. His black robe fluttered and black scales grew on his limbs and body. He turned into a black dragon. His body grew from 3 meters to 7 to 8 meters tall. He was like a tyrannosaurus that was filled with power. He took a step forward and countless black holes appeared in the sky. Lin Xian also let out a long roar. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand emitted a resplendent light as he shouted coldly, "Let's end this." In the next moment, a blazing sword gleam surged out and covered the entire sky. The void turned green, and there were dragon shadows and sword gleams everywhere. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a dragon-shaped sword diagram that emitted terrifying energy. Boom! With a slash of the sword, a huge dragon-shaped sword chi surged out rapidly and flew toward the Black Dragon hierarch. Wherever it passed, the void collapsed rapidly. In the next moment, the resplendent sword gleam enveloped the Black Dragon hierarch. Ah! A miserable cry rang out as the Black Dragon hierarch let out a miserable cry. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword chi shone even more brightly. Streaks of green sword gleams soared into the sky, followed by a terrifying dragon roar. The dragon roar was so clear that all the warriors in Xia country could hear it. At this moment, all the warriors in Xia country raised their heads and looked at the sky with a horrified expression. This was because the sky was filled with countless sword chi. There was an extremely huge dragon shadow circling above, crushing the entire void into countless pieces. After a long time, the green sword shadows that filled the sky gradually disappeared, and the pungent smell of blood came from the sky. Above the demon abyss battlefield, the black dragon hierarch was sent flying over 10,000 meters and floated in the sky. His black robe was torn, and there was a huge crack on his body. His internal organs and bones were all exposed. There were sword marks all over his body. It could be said that there was not a single part of his body that was intact. Only his head was still intact. However, he looked extremely ferocious at this moment. Impossible, I don't believe it. You can't be so strong. The black dragon hierarch was horrified. That sword had almost taken his life. That sword strike from before was simply too terrifying. It almost split the black dragon religious leader in half. Even now, there were countless green sword chi circling around the wound, madly destroying his body. At this moment he finally felt fear. He knew that even though the young man before him was only a 9th level venerate, his battle prowess still surpassed his own. Now, how could he still dare to snatch the great dragon sword soul? He only wanted to escape, otherwise he would definitely be killed here. But now the path was still sealed. In front of him was Lin Xian, and behind him was the dark red divine dragon. Even if he was at his peak, he would not be able to escape, let alone now that he was heavily injured. In this moment of despair, he suddenly thought of a way. He remembered that there was still a king monster at the bottom of the demon abyss. If he called that guy out and worked together with him, he might be able to escape with his life. Therefore, in the next moment, the black dragon religious leader shouted crazily, "The guy down there, stop hiding. These two obviously won't let you go. When I die, they will definitely make a move on you." That voice turned into a tangible wave that spread to the bottom of the tide. Sure enough, in the next moment, a low roar suddenly came from below. Then, 9 red arms that were 3,000 meters long quickly stretched out from below. They were like red pillars that connected heaven and earth. It's finally out. Seeing this scene, the black dragon religious leader heaved a sigh of relief. Great! As long as the other king monster attacked, he would definitely have a chance to survive. Lin Xian furrowed his brows as he looked down. At the side, the dark red divine dragon also looked down with interest. In the demon abyss below, there were clouds and mist surrounding it, and behind the clouds, there was a huge black shadow. The black shadow walked over quickly, and then appeared in front of everyone. Looking at this king-level monster, Lin Xian was astonished. He knew that there was a monster below, and he also knew that the monster had reached the king level. However, he did not expect that the other party was a fox, and a 9-tailed fox at that. The 9 arms that were 3,000 meters long were actually the 9 tails of the 9-tailed fox. The 9-tailed fox was fiery red, and its body was like a small mountain. His eyes were incomparably cold, and there were 9 tails behind him. At that moment, they had transformed into 9 terrifying arms. As soon as the 9-tailed fox appeared, it immediately brought with it a monstrous murderous aura that dyed the entire sky red. It's a fox. Lin Xian was surprised. I didn't expect it to be a 9-tailed fox. Looks like it must have eaten a subdivinity crystal to grow to the king level. The dark red divine dragon also narrowed its eyes and looked curiously. Suddenly, the 9-tailed fox let out a low roar with a trace of uneasiness in its expression. For some reason, the 2-meter-long red snake in front of it, which was like an ant in its eyes, was emitting a terrifying aura. Even the aura made it feel a sense of fear. Damn worm, hand over the subdivinity crystal, and it'll spare your life. The huge 9-tailed fox spoke in human language with a cold voice. Boom! The dark red divine dragon quickly attacked. Its huge dragon claw turned into a red fist and quickly blasted toward the 9-tailed fox. In the next moment, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Heaven and earth shook as the 9-tailed fox's huge body was smashed away. Boom! A mountain peak in the distance was smashed into pieces. Who are you calling a worm? If you spout nonsense again, it'll knock out all your teeth. The dark red divine dragon snorted. Roar! In the distance, the 9-tailed fox got up and quickly rushed over. Its huge eyes stared fiercely at the dark red divine dragon, and its eyes were filled with murderous intent. Angry, it was too angry. As a king-level monster beast, it looked down on everything, and had never suffered such humiliation. But now, it was sent flying by a red snake in front of it. It was so angry that its lungs were about to explode. But soon it was terrified again. The opponent's power was too terrifying. It was so fast that it was sent flying before it could even see clearly. It knew that the opponent was not weak, and was also a king-level monster beast. At the side, the black dragon hierarch stopped his wound with difficulty, and said in a low voice, "Stupid fox, don't hesitate. Attack with me and fight against them together. Otherwise, if I die, you won't have a hard time either." Cunning fellow. Aren't you just trying to use my power to escape? You make it sound so righteous. The nine-tailed fox snorted. It seemed that it was not a fool. Lin Xian said coldly, "Since it's out, let's get rid of it together." He had long planned to get rid of the monster beast, because if he allowed the nine-tailed fox to live, it would definitely be a huge disaster after they left. Chapter 1434. Brat, you're courting death. The nine-tailed fox was furious. She did not intend to interfere in this matter, but she did not expect this little human to be so arrogant and claim that he would kill her as well. She could not tolerate this. Therefore, She launched a fierce attack in the next moment. Her 9 tails transformed into huge palms that quickly grabbed at Lin Xian. Each of them was extremely terrifying and could shatter the void. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his hand. Immediately, countless cyan sword chi shot out from the dragon sword domain, rampaging in all directions and violently bombarding the 9 tails. Roar! In the next moment, the 9-tailed fox screamed. Blood floated down from the sky, because the sword chi had all cut open huge wounds on the 9 tails. Blood spurted out. The 9-tailed fox's expression changed. She quickly retracted her 9 tails with a bewildered expression. She did not expect this little human to be so terrifying. Although his cultivation was only at 9th heaven supremacy, the sword chi was so powerful that it could even injure her. Ruffian dragon, I'll leave this fox to you. I'll go and kill the black dragon hierarch, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Then his body swayed, and he charged toward the black dragon hierarch with the dragon sword realm. Don't worry, I'll play with her, the dark red dragon said casually. Then he stretched out his dragon claws and grabbed at the 9-tailed fox. The two of them immediately engaged in a fierce battle. On the other side, the black dragon hierarch was ferocious. Brat, don't go too far. At most, we'll fight to the death. To be honest, he was furious. He thought that he could escape with his life if he summoned the 9-tailed fox. However, he did not expect the young man in front of him to be so powerful that he wanted to kill both of them together. This was something he did not expect. Now the young man was going to attack again. This made it impossible for him to fight back. Therefore, he gritted his teeth and decided to fight to the death. Since he was going to die anyway, he might as well drag the other party down with him. Brat, even if I die, I won't let you go. The black dragon hierarch's voice was ferocious. In the next moment, he began to burn the spiritual power in his body. Not only that, but the black flame realm around him also burned rapidly, forming an extremely terrifying energy. Upon sensing this aura, Lin Xian's expression changed. This was because this was the counterattack of a king before his death. It was extremely terrifying, and he didn't dare to be careless at all. Therefore, he quickly grasped the great dragon sword soul. At the same time, he activated the dragon sword domain with all his might. Instantly, countless dragon roars burst forth, and the dazzling sword light illuminated the sky. Let's end this. Lin Xian slashed down with his sword. On the other side, the black dragon religious leader also let out a furious roar, preparing to ignite the black flame domain and perish together. But in the next moment, his body froze, and a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. What a fast sword! Boom! The black dragon religious leader's body was completely split into 2 halves. Not only him, but the black flame domain around him was also split apart by the sword. Quick! It was too fast. The speed of this sword exceeded the black dragon religious leader's expectations. He was killed before he could even react. After killing the black dragon religious leader, Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. His face was somewhat pale. After all, he was only a 9th level venerable now, and could not use the dragon sword domain for a long time. But fortunately, he had not reached his limit yet. So in the next moment, he turned around and stared at the 9-tailed fox in the distance again. Being stared at by Lin Xian, the 9-tailed fox's body instantly froze. This was because it had seen how Lin Xian killed the black dragon religious leader previously. That sword strike had made its heart tremble. Even if it were the 9-tailed fox, it would not have the ability to resist. So now, being stared at by Lin Xian, it was very scared. If the other party attacked it, it would not be able to resist at all. So in the next moment, it hurriedly shook its head. Stop! I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to fight anymore. It did not dare to fight anymore, because it was being beaten up by the dark red divine dragon now. And this was because the other party was deliberately teasing it, and did not kill it. Otherwise, it would have been killed long ago. Now that Lin Xian was here, it was even more impossible to win. So it could only beg for mercy. If someone here saw this scene, their eyes would definitely pop out. A king demonic beast was actually begging for mercy. This was something that they did not dare to imagine. However, at this moment, it was really happening. Hearing this, Lin Xian did not make a move. Instead, He turned to look at the dark red divine dragon. Ruffian dragon, can you subdue it? No problem. It's only a 1-star king demonic beast. It's completely subdued. The dark red divine dragon was very confident. Now that it was also a king demonic beast, it could use some magical methods. It was no longer like before, when it only had thoughts and no power. Alright then. Seal it and bring it back. Bring it back? You want to keep it as a pet? The dark red divine dragon asked. It really did not understand what Lin Xian wanted to do. Keep it as a pet. Hearing this, the nine-tailed fox's mouth twitched. It was arrogant and unruly. As a king demonic beast, it looked down on the world. Now it was being kept as a pet. This huge contrast made it so angry that it almost vomited blood. However, in order to save its life, it did not dare to resist at all. Otherwise, the other party would definitely kill it. It could only grind its sharp teeth and snort madly in its heart. Brat, just you wait. One day, I'll eat you with my own mouth. In the next moment, the dark red divine dragon waved its dragon claws and cast a powerful seal, directly sealing the nine-tailed fox. The nine-tailed fox was terrified because it found that its body was rapidly shrinking. Not only that, but the power in its body was also rapidly weakening. In the end, it could not even use its power. What kind of technique is this? How can it be so powerful? As a king demonic beast, it naturally knew how terrifying this technique was. It did not expect that the other party would have such a technique. The nine-tailed fox's mountain-like body was rapidly shrinking. In the end, it was only the size of a house cat. After shrinking, the nine-tailed fox was still struggling in the air. The 9 tails behind it were constantly swaying. Its originally ferocious little face looked very cute at this moment. The dark red divine dragon waved its dragon claws and caught the 9-tailed fox in its hand. Little fox, follow us well. As long as we have meat to eat, there will be soup for you. Woo woo. The 9-tailed fox snorted twice. It was unknown whether it was crying or agreeing. Let's go back. Lin Xian waved his hand. Then, he and the dark red divine dragon turned into 2 bolts of lightning and instantly rushed down to the demon abyss. Inside the demon abyss, black earth, Morong Qingqing waited anxiously. She kept pacing back and forth inside the black earth. She had no choice. She was too worried. After all, Lin Xian wanted to kill the black dragon sect's leader, a true king. Although she knew of Lin Xian's strength, the black dragon sect's leader was not to be trifled with. Therefore, she was very worried. Black earth was spinning in the air. He complained, "Alright, stop spinning. I'm going dizzy." Chapter 1435. Inside the Devil Abyss Black Earth. Morong Qingqing was anxiously waiting as she paced back and forth inside the Black Earth. She couldn't help it as she was too worried. After all, Lin Xian was going to kill the Black Dragon religion's leader, a true king. Although she knew Lin Xian's strength, the Black Dragon religion's leader wasn't someone to be trifled with either. Hence she was very worried. He too was spinning in the air as he complained. "All right, stop spinning. I'm getting dizzy." Morong Qingqing quickly asked. "He too, do you think he's in danger? After all, he's a true king." "Miss, you've asked this question 800 times already." He too was helpless. "That brat has the great dragon sword soul, and is very powerful. Moreover, there's a king-level divine dragon beside him. What are you worried about?" He too was speechless. One had to know that the great dragon sword soul was very powerful. "What do you mean by being female? Invincible within the same level?" Okay? Was the most basic nine-tailed fox's face darkened as it spoke. It wasn't human difficult language to fight someone of a higher level. It can speak human language because the great dragon sword soul was shocked. Was an offensive. Then her face was filled with joy. Every generation's successor of the dragon sword was an extremely dazzling Looks like it's genius. Better than Little White. As for Lin Xian, it's even on the same level as this ruffian dragon. He planned to nurture Lin Xian into a great emperor. How dare you compare me to a fox? The Black Dragon religion's leader. He would be disappointed. The dark red dragon was unhappy. Just as he was thinking. Meanwhile, the little white monkey suddenly was also humming and grumbling with a look of displeasure. Two figures flashed in. On the side, Lin Xian, your back. He too was also flying around the crowd, immediately interrupting when she saw the figure. Luo Bingshan also quickly walked over and respectfully shouted, "If you want to be a pet, master, you have to raise your strength to the king realm first." At this moment, he said, "This little fox is a king. You've been fighting for a long time." Both Morong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan were Black Dragon religion's leader. They didn't expect such a cute little fox of dissatisfaction in his tone. However, Morong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan were already familiar with this kind of language, and it was so powerful. If it was anyone else, she wanted to adopt a king-level expert, so that she wouldn't have to fight herself in the future. They would vomit blood. Seeing that Morong Qingqing was delighted, Lin Xian to kill a Black Dragon religion's leader. "Is your seal safe? He was a true king. Don't release this guy's power. Were they going to be killed like vegetables? Or Qingqing will be in danger. If the Black Dragon religious leader was still alive, it's absolutely safe. He would definitely burst into tears. The dark red dragon said confidently." However, Lin was still worried. After all, it's been done for a long time. This matter concerned Morong Qingqing's safety. Something else happened along the way. So he asked again. "Look, I brought back something good. Do you have anything good that can make this matter safer?" Lin Xian took out a furry object from his bosom. Lin Xian could use the Thousand Beast Cauldron to directly plant a beast slave seal. Morong Qingqing was stunned at first. To use the Thousand Beast Cauldron, he would have to pay a ball from Lin Xian's Moreover, if he planted a nine-tailed fox, this nine-tailed fox would be loyal. Where did you get such a cute animal? But it wouldn't be as cute. Morong Qingqing asked quickly as she rubbed the nine-tailed fox's head. So he asked Tuesday, yes, of course. When the nine-tailed fox heard this, her face Lin Xian's request. She even had the thought of dying. Flew away and soon On the other hand, Lin Xian said with a smile, scroll. "It's nothing. What's this? It's just a little fox." Asked. It was a contract scroll, Morong Qingqing said. As long as two people dripped their blood on it, they would form a master-servant contract. However, this nine-tailed fox's talent wasn't very good. Yes, and its growth was limited. It's not bad to keep it as a pet. Use this scroll. You already have little white. So the nine-tailed fox's ears drooped. Hearing this, and the little white monkey jumped out. As a king-level monster, it hummed and gestured for a while. It had never been defeated like this before. Implying that how could the stinky fox in front of it compare to it? And it was even despised by others. To use it for something else. Morong Qingqing didn't care too much. I'll give it to you. In her opinion, king-level monsters were already very terrifying. If you like foxes, she quickly established a master-servant contract with the nine-tailed fox. When the nine-tailed fox heard that these people were going to envelop Morong Qingqing, her face darkened, and the nine-tailed fox lay on Morong Qingqing's body moment and pretended to be dead. Felt another connection. When she heard it was from the nine-tailed fox, she jumped up and spat out a mouthful of blood. The nine-tailed fox's eyes disappeared and was replaced by a wisp of spiritual light. It even rubbed its furry little head against Morong Qingqing's face. Chapter 1436. The scroll emitted a soft light that enveloped Morong Chingching and Nine-Tailed Fox. In the next moment, Morong Chingching felt another connection. It was from Nine-Tailed Fox. Were elders. The ferocious look in Nine-Tailed Fox's eyes. They were looking at the mountain range in the distance by a touch of solemn expressions. She even rubbed her furry little head against Morong Chingching's face. They were all in the venerable realm. There were even one or two elders who had reached the ninth level of the venerable realm. Just call her Little Red, the word martial written on them. Red dragon. Obviously, Lin Xian were from the martial alliance. That's a good name. If Lin Xian was here, he would definitely recognize these people. Lin Xian. This was because a few of these elders were the judges of the Azure Dragon gathering. I have a name. Even among the younger generation, Nine-Tailed Fox that he recognized. One of them was wearing a flame robe. He was extremely handsome and had an arrogant look on his face. He was the Heavenly Fire Prince of the Heavenly Fire sect. Nine-Tailed Fox nodded. The other person was even more domineering. She rubbed her little head against. He was burly and looked like a demon king. At that moment, the Overlord Dragon asked first on the Azure Dragon leaderboard, what were you planning to do with this fox when you caught it? They were not weaker than those elders at all. Because this fox was not meant to be a pet. The Martial Alliance had also obtained some sub-divinity crystals. Oh, isn't the Black Earth lacking energy? That was why they had so many experts to fight against the king level monster after all. However, it should have powerful energy. Did not have a king. I wanted to use it as an energy source, been suppressed by the Black Dragon sect. Let it be a pet. They received news that the 8 halls even the dark red dragon god's mouth was agape had been destroyed. Nine-Tailed Fox rolled her eyes and almost fainted. Be an energy source. What was this guy thinking? Fake news released by the Black Dragon. It was now a pet. Their goal was to lure them into a trap. Would be miserable. However, thinking after many investigations, Nine-Tailed Fox glared they finally found out that the news was true. Eyes. Then these people were stunned. Suggestion, they could not believe nodding. 8 hall masters and 4 protectors. But this Nine-Tailed Fox they were all extremely powerful people. If you want to use it as an energy source, any one of the protectors could defeat all of them. Forget it. How could such powerful characters of a way in the future completely annihilated? We'll find a source of energy eventually. They could not figure it out. Lin Xian said in a low voice. It was not the martial alliance that there would be a way. It's very likely that a martial artist that we don't know about obtained the divine dragon crystals in the demon abyss. The Black Dragon sect's leader is already dead. The Black Dragon sect lives up to its name. However, said in a deep voice, we still have to clean up the mess. Hearing this, everyone nodded. After we eliminate the Black Dragon cult, we will return to the Sky Martial elders. I think it's time to put an end to the Duan family. There's another possibility. The dark red dragon also snorted coldly. However, this group of people is too arrogant. Has always looked down on this emperor did not pay attention to them. It's impossible for them not to come to our aid. Entered the king level. Everyone was talking about the mysterious them with a single slap. At this moment, after settling the matter of the Duan family, this is a good opportunity for us. Are we going to the true spirit continent? I heard that the Black Dragon, the dark red dragon, and the left and right emissaries clearly brought a large number of experts here. And left the Black Dragon sect. When everything here is settled, if we can take over their headquarters and seize the treasures inside, for the real great world, our martial alliance might become stronger again. And the dark red dragon went out again. However, this time the Black Dragon also brought along protection formation is not easy to break. The group boarded the spirit boat from before. And who knows what the Black Dragon sect's leader is doing with so many into the sky? And if they enter the demon abyss again, and this time the subdivinity target was the headquarters of the Black Dragon sect. The headquarters of the Black Dragon sect was located in the center of the Tianan region will belong to the Black Dragon sect. It occupied a very vast mountain range. Hearing this, everyone's heart range was the best. They took a deep breath in the entire Tianan region. The spirit chi was very dense. In the mountain range, there were countless palaces and pavilions. In the center, there was a very large black palace. It stood in front of them like a black dragon sitting there cross-legged. At this moment, the entire Black Dragon sect had set up a layer of defensive formation. Not far from the Black Dragon sect's mountain range, there was also a group of people gathered. Chapter 1437. Look, what's that? A young man exclaimed. What are you shouting for? We'll be discovered if you continue like this. Can you bear the responsibility for disrupting our plan? An old man snorted with a gloomy face. Yes, elder. I was wrong. The young man lowered his head and admitted his mistake. However, he insisted, there's really something. Something flew across the sky like lightning. Something flew across the sky. Are you sure? The other old men frowned. Could it be that the people from the Black Dragon sect had returned? This time, they took advantage of the fact that the Black Dragon sect's leader and the other experts were away to launch a sneak attack. If the other party's experts returned, their plan would fail. Hence, everyone's face turned solemn. Xiaoping cultivates eye techniques. Although his cultivation isn't the best, he should be able to see things correctly. This time, Venerable Green Lotus also spoke. He was the leader of this operation. Hence, once Venerable Green Lotus spoke, the others fell silent. Xiaoping, tell me, what exactly did you see? Was it someone from the Black Dragon sect? Elder, I didn't see it clearly. I only saw a flash of light. However, from the aura it emitted, it didn't seem like someone from the Black Dragon sect. Oh, even you didn't see it clearly? Venerable Green Lotus was surprised. He knew that Xiaoping cultivated a type of eye technique. His eyesight was extremely accurate. In this aspect, he was not inferior to the old men. In fact, he was even stronger. However, at this moment, even he did not see it clearly. It was unbelievable. Where did that thing go? Venerable Green Lotus thought of a possibility and asked quickly. It's the Black Dragon sect's headquarters. Venerable Green Lotus gasped when he heard that. His expression was uncertain, as if he was thinking about something. At this moment, Crown Prince Heavenly Flame asked in a deep voice. Elder, is there something wrong? Other than the Martial Alliance, only the Black Dragon sect has such means. However, that thing doesn't belong to the Martial Alliance. I'm afraid it doesn't belong to the Black Dragon sect either. However, there should be another expert from the Tianan region. You mean the mysterious expert who killed the 8 Hall Masters and the 4 Great Protectors? Infinite Tyrant said coldly. Yes, that's right. It's him. Venerable Green Lotus nodded. In the next moment, everyone was shocked and their eyes widened. What? Could it really be that mysterious expert? Is he going to attack the headquarters of the Black Dragon cult? Everyone was extremely shocked. Originally, with the number of people they had, even if they wanted to break through the defensive formation outside the Black Dragon sect, it would still take a very long time. But now, if a mysterious expert came, their efficiency would be greatly increased. Let's go and take a look. Venerable Green Lotus pondered for a moment, and finally said in a deep voice. Then, he waved his hand, and led the group carefully toward the mountain range in front of them. On the other side, Lin Xian, the dark red divine dragon, Morong Qingcheng, and Luo Bingshan were riding on a spirit boat and flying ahead at high speed. Master, up ahead is the headquarters of the Black Dragon cult. Luo Bingshan looked down at the mountain range and quickly reported. Have we arrived? Hearing this, Lin Xian woke up from his cultivation and opened his eyes to look below. The Black Dragon cult is ruthless and cruel. In the past few years of their rise, they have caused great suffering in the Tianan region. It's time to get rid of this evil cult, Lin Xian said coldly. That's easy. Watch me. The dark red divine dragon also looked down. Is this the nest of the dragon? How extravagant. The dark red divine dragon's eyes turned and then shouted down. Listen up. Your Black Dragon cult leader is dead. Hurry up and open the mountain gate. Kneel down and wait for your punishment. Otherwise you'll be dead when we attack. This voice was like a clap of thunder that quickly spread to the people below. Instantly, everyone within a 10,000-mile radius heard it. The formation of the Black Dragon cult below trembled and produced a rumbling sound. Search! 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 In an instant, countless black-robed martial artists rushed out of the countless palaces and pavilions in the mountain range in front of them. They looked up at the sky with cold expressions. Who is it? How dare you cause trouble in our Black Dragon cult? You're courting death. Hurry up and come here to die. I can leave you with an intact corpse. Otherwise, if you provoke the Black Dragon cult, we'll kill all of you. Countless Black Dragon cult martial artists looked up at the sky and shouted coldly. To be honest, in their opinion, the other party was too arrogant. How dare he cause trouble above the Black Dragon cult? This was something that had never happened before. Even the Martial Alliance did not dare to be so arrogant. The people of the Martial Alliance below also stopped and looked up at the sky. It's really that mysterious expert. Elder, should we attack? Someone asked. Supremacy Green Lotus shook his head. No need. Let's wait and see. A bunch of ants. Your cult leader is dead, and you still dare to be so arrogant? Believe it or not, I'll slap all of you to death. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon snorted again. What? The Black Dragon cult leader is dead? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. The people of the Martial Alliance were also shocked. They widened their eyes in disbelief. The disciples of the Black Dragon cult were stunned at first. Then they burst into laughter. Haha, idiot kid. Do you know what you're saying? Our cult leader is a king. No one can compare to him. How dare you say he's dead? What a joke. How dare you curse our cult leader? Kneel down and accept your death. The group of people shouted arrogantly. They did not believe that their cult leader would be killed. Even Venerable Blue Lotus and the Crown Prince were frowning. What did he say? The Black Dragon cult leader is dead? How is that possible? The group of people shook their heads. The Black Dragon cult leader was a king. They could only look up to him. How could such a person be killed? Crown Prince Heavenly Flame sneered. What expert? I think he's just a braggart. How dare he say that the Black Dragon cult leader is dead? Does he know what the Black Dragon cult leader's cultivation is? Even the people of the Martial Alliance could not believe it, let alone the disciples of the Black Dragon cult. Perhaps no one in the entire Tiannan region would believe that the Black Dragon cult leader was killed. Sigh, what a bunch of ignorant people. On the spiritual vessel, the dark red divine dragon shook his head and sighed. Lin Xian frowned as well. Since they're so stubborn, let's just do it. Nine-tailed, blast open the defensive formation below. Nine-tailed fox was sleeping in Morong Qingcheng's arms. When she heard Lin Xian's words, she opened her eyes reluctantly. Ever since he recognized Lin Xian as his master, Tian's cultivation had returned to the king stage. Chapter 1438. An arm that was thousands of meters long fell from the sky like the palm of a demon. Boom! In the next moment, the red arm slammed into the defensive array below, causing an earth-shattering explosion. The entire mountain range, within a radius of 1,000 miles, began to tremble violently. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The earth trembled, and countless cracks spread out in all directions like the mouth of an abyss. At this moment, everyone was terrified. Block it! You must block it! Countless experts in the Black Dragon religion shouted angrily. More people quickly activated the array to defend. Their scalps went numb, and they were shocked. They did not expect the other party to be so powerful that a slap could almost break through the defensive array. In the mountain range far away, Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, and the others widened their eyes in disbelief. What kind of technique was that? How could it be so terrifying? What was going on with that 1,000-meter-long arm? It was as if a god had stretched out his arm from the sky. It was too terrifying. Rumble, rumble, crack, crack, crack. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the arm smashed through the defensive array and headed towards the Black Dragon religion. Suddenly, several mountains were shattered and gravel flew everywhere. The earth sank as if there was an earthquake. Retreat, retreat quickly. Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, and Bawuji quickly retreated. This was because the place where they were originally standing had suddenly cracked open. The entire ground was overturned and ruptured, forming a ruin. This was only the periphery. In the center of the mountain range, the entire Black Dragon religion was completely destroyed. Hundreds of mountains were razed to the ground, and the Black Dragon Hall in the center was penetrated by a slap. The ground caved in for 10,000 meters. The disciples of the demonic religion were even more miserable. They had no chance to escape from the slap. In an instant, their bodies exploded and turned into blood mist. The earth sank and boulders flew everywhere. Blood mist filled the air, and the pungent smell of blood instantly spread out. When the blood-red palm disappeared, the entire Black Dragon religion was razed to the ground. Not only that, but a bottomless abyss appeared on the ground. It was as if it was connected to the 9 nether hell. Most of the martial artists of the Black Dragon religion were killed by the slap. However, a small number of them escaped the calamity. At this moment, they were lying on the ground and twitching. Their faces were abnormally pale. Fear, deep fear. The slap just now was too terrifying. It was as if it was an apocalyptic slap that destroyed the entire Black Dragon religion in an instant. This technique was too terrifying. They had never seen it before. Even the left and right emissaries could not use it. Only their Black Dragon religious leader was capable of such a feat. However, the other party was also able to do so. This meant that the other party's strength was definitely extremely powerful. At the very least, it exceeded their understanding. It was very likely that he was the legendary king. Is the religion king religion? Seeing this scene of the Black Dragon religion, they now believed that the Black Dragon religion of the Black Dragon. Otherwise, the other party wouldn't have dared to directly attack their headquarters. In the distance, Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, Infinite Tyrant, and the others were extremely shocked, and their scalps went numb. They were of the black of the demonic religion. God, 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 just what kind of technique was this? With just a single slap, the Black Dragon sect and the entire mountain range were destroyed. This method was too terrifying. A king? He must be a king. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to have such means. The group of elders had terrified looks on their faces. Venerable Green Lotus also took a deep breath. From the looks of it, the Black Dragon religious leader might really have been killed. Thinking of this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Their scalps went numb in disbelief. That was a peerless savage whose might shook the entire southern sky region. He was actually killed by someone. This was a shocking event. Look, someone is coming down. At this time, the disciple called Zhao Ping pointed to the sky and exclaimed, "That's right, it's that thing. It was the sky that streaked across the sky just now." Upon hearing this, Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, and the others looked ahead. In the next moment, a huge spirit ship descended rapidly from the Sky Palace. However, the spirit boat did not land on the ground. Instead, it stopped 100 meters above the ground. Then, several figures came down from the spirit boat like lightning and appeared on the surface of the sea. These people were also floating in the air. There was no ground in front of them. It was a bottomless abyss. These people were naturally Lin Xian and the others. Luo Bingshan frowned and looked into the distance coldly. Who is it? Come out. In fact, it was not only him. Lin Xian, Mu Qingsheng, and the others also felt that there was a strong aura in the distance, and there were quite a few of them. They did not know who it was, but if it was the Black Dragon religious leader, they would definitely not let it go. Oh no, we've been discovered. Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, and the others turned pale. This was because the cold snort in front of them had exploded in their ears. Obviously they had been discovered. Since they had destroyed the Black Dragon religious leader, they should not be evil people. Venerable Green Lotus took a deep breath and flew out quickly. He shouted, "Don't do anything. We're not from the Black Dragon religious leader." Seeing Venerable Green Lotus appear, the others also took a deep breath and quickly followed behind him. Then nearly 50 to 60 martial artists all rose into the air and appeared in the sky. Master. Luo Bingshan looked at Lin Xian with a questioning look in her eyes. However, her hand was still holding the long saber at her waist. As long as Lin Xian gave the order, she would definitely take action immediately. However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. He looked at the people in the distance and revealed a surprised look. Don't do anything. They're not from the Black Dragon religious leader. In front, Venerable Green Lotus, Infinite Tyrant, Prince Heavenly Flame, and the others were also flying carefully. Soon they saw the scene in front of them. In the void, there were 4 figures floating. The one in front was a young man of about 20 years old. He was tall and handsome. He wore a green shirt, and there was a snow-white monkey on his shoulder. Beside the young man was a red snake. It stood in the void and bared its fangs and claws. It was a very strange sight. On the other side of the young man was a lady in purple. She was beautiful like a fairy. In her arms was a furry little fox. It had 9 tails. Beside her was a mysterious lady in a black robe. She wore a golden mask on her face that shone coldly under the sun. The man and the 2 ladies were all about 20 years old. They were very young. What? Venerable Green Lotus and the others were shocked. They did not expect the other party to be so young. Chapter 1439. Not only Venerable Green Lotus, but everyone in the Martial Alliance was also suspicious. They did not believe that such a young man could be a challenger. One had to know that this was something that was simply impossible. However, when they looked at the cultivation of the other party, they were shocked. Their faces turned pale, and many of them even trembled. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. Everyone's aura was as deep as the abyss, unfathomable. Especially the red snake at the side. It had an aura that made their hearts palpitate. Who are these people? They felt numb, and did not dare to act rashly. We're not from the Black Dragon sect. We're from the Martial Alliance. We're here to ambush the Black Dragon sect. Venerable Green Lotus took a deep breath, and explained quickly. He did not want to be misunderstood. If the other party attacked, they would have no chance of survival. I know. Don't worry. Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, Infinite Tyrant, long time no see. Where's Zhou Jianying? Why don't I see her? Xian said calmly. Venerable Green Lotus, Prince Heavenly Flame, and Infinite Tyrant were shocked. They could not believe it. They did not expect the other party to know him. Therefore, in the next moment, the three of them quickly raised their heads and carefully looked ahead. Then their heads exploded. You are? It's you. Everyone was shocked. They were too frightened previously, and did not notice the other party's appearance. Now that they took a closer look, the young man in front of them was looking at them with a smile. It's you, Lin Xian. It's you. Prince Heavenly Flame screamed in shock. As for the people behind him, they all looked at each other in dismay. Many of them even revealed puzzled expressions. What's going on? Could it be that Prince Heavenly Flame knows the person in front? Ba Wuji sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes widened in disbelief. Venerable Green Lotus' body began to tremble. Lin Xian. Who is he? Elder, you know him? The others asked. Venerable Green Lotus sighed. He's Lin Xian. He's from the Tianan region. What? He's from the Tianan region? Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. Since when did such a powerful figure appear in their Tianan region? At this moment, Venerable Green Lotus continued. He was the champion of the previous Azure Dragon Association. But after that, he left the Heavenly South region. I didn't expect it to appear again. What? He was the champion of the previous Azure Dragon Society. Everyone cried out in surprise. Soon after, many people recalled something. Right, that's right, it's him. It's really him. I saw him at the Azure Dragon Society last time, but I didn't think it would really be him. Among these Martial League members, a small portion of them had survived back then, while most of them had risen in recent years. Therefore, although most people did not recognize Lin Xian, a small number of people recognized him, after being reminded by Elder Green Lotus. Immediately, these people cried out in surprise. Soon they learned of Lin Xian's experience. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, as they stared ahead in disbelief. Lin Xian, is the Black Dragon Hierarch really dead? At this moment, Elder Green Lotus asked again. To be honest, he could not believe this news. After all, the Black Dragon Hierarch was an extremely terrifying existence. He had to be sure. Yes, he's dead. I killed him. Lin Xian nodded. What? You killed him? Everyone's mouths were wide open. They were all shocked by this news. That was too fucking shocking. A 20-year-old young man had actually killed the overlord of the Tianan region. Everyone swallowed their saliva. Even Overlord Wuji asked in a trembling voice. Lin Xian, are you already a king tier? Lin Xian shook his head. Not yet, but killing a king tier isn't difficult. Everyone's mind went blank. They only wanted to vomit blood. Killing a king tier isn't difficult? Why did it sound like a dream? Forget it, I won't ask anymore. Otherwise, my heart won't be able to take it. Everyone shook their heads. On the other hand, Lin Xian ordered Luo Bingshan to cripple all the surviving Black Dragon Hierarch martial artists' cultivation. Luo Bingshan nodded. Then she waved her arm. Countless rays of saber light flew out from her fingertips. They quickly spread out in all directions, and sank into the bodies of the Black Dragon Hierarch martial artists. Instantly, a series of miserable screams rang out. In an instant, those who were still alive had their cultivation crippled. Lin Xian did not kill them. However, Crippling their cultivation could prevent them from doing evil in the future. The Black Dragon Hierarch's base camp has been destroyed. There should be some remaining forces in other places. I'll leave the rest to the Martial Alliance. Lin Xian turned around again and looked at Venerable Green Lotus. Don't worry. We'll definitely take care of the rest. Venerable Green Lotus quickly nodded. They were already at odds with the Black Dragon Hierarch. Even without Lin Xian's order, they would have gathered all their forces to eradicate the Black Dragon Hierarch in other places. Now that they had Lin Xian's help, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Lin Xian pondered for a moment before speaking again in a deep voice. The Tiannan region has been plunged into misery and suffering for a long time. I don't want something similar to happen again. As he spoke, Lin Xian exuded a terrifying aura. It was as though a divine sword had been unsheathed and was incomparably sharp. Furthermore, the Xia country is my hometown. I don't want anything to happen to it in the future. As for the demonic abyss, there were no more subdivine gems in it. There was no need to waste time looking for them. I hope that the Martial Alliance can lead the Tiannan region and build a prosperous world. However, I don't want you to become another Black Dragon Hierarch. Although Lin Xian did not have any obvious intention of threatening them, Venerable Green Lotus and the rest were still trembling in fear. That was because the aura was too terrifying. It was as though a god was looking down on them. Don't worry. We definitely won't become the second Black Dragon Hierarch. Venerable Green Lotus quickly shook his head. Lin Xian nodded and retracted his aura. He did not stay there any longer. Instead, he turned around and flew away with Morong Qingcheng and the rest onto the spiritual boat in the sky. Then, the spiritual boat shone brightly and turned into a bolt of lightning, instantly leaving the place. Venerable Green Lotus and the rest only heaved a sigh of relief after Lin Xian and the rest had left for a long time. Then they slumped onto the ground. Terrifying. It was simply too terrifying. The group of seniors turned pale. He's already so powerful. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame's body was also trembling slightly. He did not expect that a person whose strength was similar to his back then would grow to such an extent after a few years. He could only look up to him. Overlord Infinite G sighed as his heart was filled with helplessness. On the other hand, Venerable Green Lotus took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Remember what I said today. Don't become the second Black Dragon Hierarch. Otherwise our doomsday will come." Everyone nodded heavily and did not dare to act rashly. They had no choice. The scene of the Black Dragon Hierarch being annihilated was simply too terrifying. They would probably never forget it for the rest of their lives. Don't go to the Devil Abyss. According to what we know now, those whose cultivation has not reached the King Realm will only be courting death if they enter. Instead of angering Lin Xian, why don't we withdraw all of our people from the Xia country? Got it. I'll do it as soon as I return. Also, immediately mobilize all of our forces when we return and launch a counterattack. We must eliminate the remaining forces of the Black Dragon Hierarch. Chapter 1440. Lin Xian and the rest easily annihilated the Black Dragon Sect's headquarters and quickly returned. The Black Dragon sect leader had been killed. Not only that, the entire Black Dragon sect's left and right envoys, the 4 great protectors, and the 8 hall masters were all killed. It could be said that the Black Dragon sect's elites were all gone. He didn't need to worry about the rest. With the Martial Alliance's power, they could definitely get rid of them. Hence, Lin Xian's thoughts were no longer on the Tiannan region. He was prepared to return to the Tianmu continent. Firstly, he wanted to see if his father had come out of seclusion. Secondly, he wanted to get rid of his enemy, the Duan clan. Otherwise, he wouldn't be at ease moving the Lin clan members to the Tianmu continent. Soon Lin Xian and the rest returned to the Black Earth. This time, Lin Xian's main purpose was to instruct He Tu to take good care of Old Master Lin and the rest of the Lin clan members. Little Xian, don't worry. We're very safe here. Moreover, this place is very suitable for cultivation, Old Master Lin said with a smile. Yes, well, wait for your safe return, Second Uncle Lin said with a smile. Next, Lin Xian left behind some natural treasures. He even took out some old tea for Old Master Lin and the rest to consume. When everything was ready, he brought Morong Qingcheng, the falling ice mountain, and the dark red divine dragon onto the spirit boat, and quickly left the Xia country. This time his departure was similar to when he came. However, his cultivation had undergone a drastic change. Other than that, there were a few more things. There was a 9-tailed demon fox, and he took away 30 subdivine crystals. As for the rest, he left them all on the Black Earth. According to his calculations, to return to the Tianwu continent, they would have to cross the endless ocean. This would take more than half a year. Hence, Lin Xian and the rest began to cultivate as soon as they arrived. Although Lin Xian had the king domain now, he didn't relax. After all, his cultivation wasn't at the king realm yet. He had to raise his cultivation to the king realm as soon as possible. Only then would his strength increase again. Lin Xian didn't need subdivinity crystals to improve his cultivation base. Therefore, he quickly circulated the longevity incantation to cultivate. At the same time, he was also multitasking, cultivating the Furious Dragon mantra and the Heavenly Divination visualization chart. Of these two techniques, one cultivated the body while the other cultivated the soul. They could turn him into an all-round expert. Not only that, but Lin Xian also spent a lot of time and effort researching the king's domain. After all, this was his main source of energy in the future. Now his horizons were much broader than before, and he knew that there were 9 great realms. Above the king realm, there were saints and the legendary great emperor. The king realm cultivated domains, whereas at the saint realm, one cultivated a world, and one was able to establish a minor world that was independent of a large world. Lin Xian knew that the small world was evolved from the domain. Therefore, Lin Xian tried to throw his various martial spirits into the dragon sword domain to evolve. Just like that, time passed little by little. At the same time, the situation in the Tianwu continent was also changing. Primeval forest, deep in the canyon. The heavenly netherbird laughed maniacally again. There were only 2 astral chains left on its body. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before the restrictions on the astral chains were completely broken. At that time, it would become a peerless beast once again. Ha 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 ha. Only 2 left. Brat Lin, just you wait. One day, I'll tear you apart with my own hands. A ferocious voice rang out from the depths of the canyon, as if a demon was roaring. No one knew about the heavenly netherbird's changes because it hid it too well. However, another gust of wind blew across the Tianwu continent. The great situation that Lin Xian had built up previously collapsed in an instant. The alliance that was built with the help of the longevity pill and old-time tea also collapsed. Many people left Lin Xian's side and joined the Duan family. It could be said that the situation in the Palace of Gods of War had become extremely tense and dangerous. Luckily, Wang Li Yufei, Dongfang Xiong and the others had already left the Tianwu continent. They had long since retreated to the Immortal Martial Academy and weren't in any danger. However, their businesses had suffered a serious blow. There was only one reason for this change. The Duan family's patriarch had come out of seclusion. Not only that, he had successfully entered the king realm and became a king. A king realm was an extremely powerful existence. There were only a few of them in the Tianwu continent. Every one of them was an expert that stood at the pinnacle of the continent. Now there was another king realm expert. This was something that had not happened in the Tianwu continent for thousands of years. Because the Duan family's patriarch had become a king realm expert, the entire Tianwu continent had undergone a drastic change. No matter how miraculous the longevity pill was, it was not as threatening as a king realm expert. Now, who would dare to ally with Lin Xian's side? That would be courting death. One had to know that Lin Xian had not appeared in the Tianwu continent for a long time. No one knew where he had gone. There were even rumors that he had left the Tianwu continent. On the Palace of Gods of War's side, Lin Zhan was still in seclusion. Therefore, the entire Palace of Gods of War had lost its backbone. The rest of the people were unable to withstand the fury of a king realm expert. Especially when the Duan family's patriarch found out that his grandson, young Master Ling Feng, had been killed. He was extremely furious. Therefore, the first thing he did after coming out of seclusion was to issue a kill order. He swore that he would capture Lin Xian and tear him into pieces. For a time, the world was in an uproar. Because this was the fury of a king realm expert. Millions of corpses would be laid and blood would flow for thousands of miles. Immediately, many people started to worry for Lin Xian. However, the Duan family's allies were sneering. They had long disliked Lin Xian. Now that they saw him being hunted down, they were naturally happy. On the other hand, the Palace of Gods of War and the Immortal Martial Academy were worried. But fortunately, what made them feel slightly relieved was that Lin Xian was not in the Tianwu continent at the moment. Therefore, the kill order was useless for the time being. However, the Duan family's patriarch becoming a king realm expert was a troublesome matter. This was because the current Duan clan could no longer be compared to before. It was a true king clan. Therefore, after a mere 3 days, the Palace of Gods of War changed owners again. Those people from before were directly beaten out, while the Duan family directly moved in and became the new owner. This time, the Duan family's patriarch personally took action. Therefore, the Palace of Gods of War suffered heavy losses. Many elders and experts died. Fortunately, the Immortal Martial Academy intervened in time and saved the majority. Otherwise, the Palace of Gods of War's losses would be even worse. Damn it, really damn it. The remaining forces of the Palace of Gods of War all retreated to the Immortal Martial Academy. Among them, the 9th Elder and the 10th Elder were so angry that they vomited blood. They had no choice. They really did not expect that the Duan family's patriarch could break through and become a true king realm expert. Chapter 1441. Now, even if we start a war with him, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to him. Ding Xian shook his head. After all, the strength of a true king was too terrifying. Unless Lin Zhang comes out of seclusion. But now, I don't know when he will come out of seclusion. A group of people shook their heads and sighed. The elders of War God Red were even more worried. This was because the current situation was simply too terrible. We're not worried about the palace master. That formation is too terrifying. Even a king can't break it. However, we're very worried about the young master. Those people from the Duan clan have given the kill order. Now, many experts are frantically looking for the young master. Although they can't find him now, if the young master doesn't know the situation when he comes back, he will definitely be discovered. At that time, if the young master is in any danger, we're really finished. The 9th Elder and the rest were anxious. They decided to secretly look for Lin Xian. At least they had to send out the news. The rise of the Duan clan's old ancestor caused a huge change in the Tianwu continent. Not only that, he first gave the kill order and went all out to hunt down Lin Xian. Not long after, he released another piece of news. It was naturally a celebration. The Duan clan's old ancestor had become a king. This was a huge event that shook the world. Firstly, it was to display the strength of the Duan clan. Secondly, it was to redistribute the benefits. Although there were many factions and countries in the Tianwu continent, behind them stood the powerful clans. In other words, the king clans were the overlords of the Tianwu continent. In the past, the structure of the Tianwu continent had already been formed. There were no changes for thousands of years. However, it was different now. A new king had appeared, and the Duan clan naturally became a king clan. They naturally wanted a share of the benefits. In fact, the Duan clan's thoughts were very simple. They wanted to replace the war god palace and become the true overlord. As for the resources of the war god palace, they naturally wanted to replace them. However, in recent years, the war god palace had consumed a lot of resources due to the internal conflicts. Therefore, this time, they wanted to take back everything that they had lost. This banquet could be said to be the most prestigious one in the past 1,000 years. This banquet didn't just invite the elders of the 6th rank sections. It was a true king. At that time, the Morong clan, Shun clan, Immortal Martial Academy, Merrywoods, and other king clans would all come. It could be said that being able to attend the Duan clan's banquet represented a certain level of strength. Of course, the Duan clan's patriarch had another idea, and that was to form an alliance. It didn't mean that one wouldn't have enemies after becoming a king. Furthermore, he was a new king. His strength was naturally weaker than those old king-level kings. More importantly, Lin Zhan was still alive. This was his greatest enemy. If the other party came out of seclusion, then he would be his greatest enemy. Therefore, he had to form an alliance in advance and find good helpers to deal with future changes. It would be best if they could join forces at the banquet and directly destroy the place where the other party was in seclusion. Kill Lin Zhan. This news swept through the entire Sky Martial continent like a hurricane. For a time, all the major forces quickly took action. Not only that, the action of the Duan clan did not end. Firstly, they were wantonly hunting down Lin Xian's tracks. As long as they found him, they would immediately kill him. Furthermore, the forces that had a good relationship with Lin Xian in the past were all suppressed. Even the deity Sword Villa was suppressed. Because in front of a king, even the powerful deity Sword Villa and Sword Honorable couldn't resist. The forces of the Immortal Martial Academy were also affected to a certain extent. Fortunately, the Immortal Martial Academy was a king's force after all. With the king suppressing them, the Duan clan didn't dare to go overboard. However, their small actions were continuous. However, just as the situation was changing, a spirit boat flew over from the sea. This spirit boat was very fast and had been flying at an extremely high altitude. Therefore, when it entered the Sky Martial continent, no one noticed it. This spirit boat was naturally Lin Xian's. When they entered the Sky Martial continent, everyone opened their eyes. We're finally back. Morong Qingqing looked at the familiar mountains and rivers below and smiled. Even the nine-tailed fox in her arms looked down curiously. So strong. I can feel several powerful forces here. Are they all kings? It shrank its head. It didn't expect there to be such strong people in the Sky Martial continent. Their auras had surpassed it. Not only that, the spiritual energy in this continent was even denser, which surprised it. One had to know that it could cultivate now. Therefore, the spiritual energy here was very important to it. Yes, we're back. I wonder what kind of changes have taken place here? Lin Xian also looked down at the mountains and rivers below, his eyes shining. Kid, where are we going first? The dark red divine dragon asked. Let's go back to the Immortal Martial Academy first. Lin Xian thought for a while and said slowly. Then, the group increased their speed and flew towards the Immortal Martial Academy. The Sky Martial continent was very vast. It was a few times bigger than the Tiannan region. Therefore, the journey was very long. It would probably take more than a month. Therefore, Lin Xian went into seclusion again. However, the dark red divine dragon, nine-tailed fox, and snow-white monkey didn't go into seclusion. Among them, the bright red divine dragon was sleeping at the side, while nine-tailed fox was looking down curiously. After all, this place was a new world to it. But soon, it furrowed its brows and ground its teeth. Because with its king's soul power, it could naturally hear the discussions below. Therefore, along the way, it found many people looking around with cold expressions, as if they were looking for something. And from those people's words, it kept hearing the name Lin Xian. Lin Xian? Could it be someone with the same name? Nine-tailed fox didn't understand why these people were looking for Lin Xian. Therefore, it went to ask the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey. After hearing that, the dark red dragon said lazily, There's definitely someone with the same name. But if you want to talk about the famous Lin Xian in the continent, you can only use the one in front of you. Why are you asking this? Now that they were familiar with each other, they didn't have the same hostility as before. I saw many people below. They are all looking for Lin Xian. Nine-tailed fox spread out its little paws. Is he a fugitive? Why are there so many people looking for him? What? There's such a thing. Let me see. The dark red divine dragon jumped up and looked down. To be honest, it didn't believe that such a thing would happen. After all, Lin Xian was the young master of the palace of gods of war. How could he be wanted? Unless something unexpected had happened here. As expected, the dark red divine dragon looked around and found the same thing. On the mountains and rivers below, there were countless martial artists looking for Lin Xian's whereabouts. Chapter 1442. To be honest, the dragon didn't believe that something like this would happen. After all, Lin Xian was the young master of the palace of gods of war. His status was extremely high. How could he be wanted? Unless something unexpected had happened here. Sure enough, the dark red divine dragon also discovered the same thing. Countless cultivators were searching for Lin Xian's whereabouts in the mountains and rivers below. Damn! What's going on? The dragon knew that something had happened. It quickly knocked on Lin Xian's door and informed him. When Lin Xian heard this, he probed further. His face immediately darkened. Brat, what's going on? It wasn't like this when we left. It's only been 2 or 3 years. How could there be such a huge change? The dragon asked. The Duan clan. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He didn't need to think to know that it was the Duan clan's doing. Because in the Sky Martial continent, only the Duan clan would dare to go against him. However, before he left, the Duan clan had already suffered heavy losses. The entire clan had even sealed itself. He didn't expect that the other party would be so high profile as to hunt him down. Something unexpected must have happened. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Since the other party dares to be so arrogant, it means that they don't fear our alliance at all. Damn it! Could it be that the Duan clan's ancestor? Lin Xian suddenly thought of a possibility. His face darkened. As soon as he thought of this, Lin Xian could not sit still. Because if this was true, then it would be terrible. His alliance would definitely collapse in an instant. Not only that, but the palace of gods of war would also be in danger. Ruffian Long, quickly go down and capture a few people for me. Lin Xian's voice was urgent. Even Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan came out and asked. When they learned about the situation, their expressions turned grave. You mean that the Duan clan's ancestor succeeded? Yes. There's only one reason why the Duan clan dares to be so arrogant. Other than that, I can't think of any other possibilities. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. It can't be right? If the Duan family's old ancestor really succeeds, then this will be the most shocking event in the Tianwu continent in the past few thousand years. Murong Qingqing's expression was also grave. She naturally knew the serious consequences of this matter. Perhaps the entire martial heaven continent's situation would change. Soon, the dark red divine dragon returned and brought 2 warriors with him. These 2 martial artists were the ones who had been searching below, but they had been suddenly beaten senseless and brought to the surface. At this moment, they were woken up by the dark red dragon and immediately shouted arrogantly. You're courting death. How dare you kidnap us? Do you know who we are? We're from the Duan clan. If you offend us, you'll have to bear the consequences. This attitude is very arrogant. It's almost the same as the Black Dragon sect. Didn't your Duan clan go into hiding a few years ago? Why are you running out to be so arrogant now? The dark red divine dragon asked coldly. The 2 of them still did not understand their situation, and immediately looked at the dark red divine dragon, as if he was looking at an idiot. You must be new here, right? You don't even know our Duan clan? Listen up, our Duan clan is a new king clan. We're the overlord of this continent. Quickly let us go and kneel down and kowtow. Otherwise, if you anger our Duan clan, you'll definitely regret it for the rest of your life. What a new king clan. Hearing this, Lin Xian's face darkened. Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan were also greatly shocked. They knew that things were as they had guessed. The Duan clan's old ancestor had really become a king. You're saying that the Duan clan's old ancestor has become a king? When did this happen? Lin Xian asked coldly. How dare you? Is my old ancestor's name something you can say? That person shouted coldly, but in the next moment he was stunned. Soon, a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. He pointed at Lin Xian, and his body trembled. It's you. You're that Lin Xian. They had portraits in their hands, and Lin Xian was the person they wanted to capture, so they knew him very well. However, they did not expect him to appear at this time. It's really you. Haha. Kid, you're dead meat. How dare you provoke our Duan clan? This time, no one can save you. Hurry up and kneel down and follow us back obediently. Perhaps we can leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, everyone related to you will be killed. The two of them roared crazily with arrogant expressions. On the other hand, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then, with a wave of his hand, the two of them immediately broke their legs with a crack. In the next moment, the two of them knelt on the ground. Large droplets of sweat flowed from their heads. You're courting death. How dare you hurt us? You're dead meat. The two of them were still roaring crazily. However, in the next moment, a powerful palm directly grabbed their heads. Very soon, the two of them felt a piercing pain in their souls. Their eyes rolled back, and they lost consciousness. Lin Xian used the soul-searching technique, and directly collected their souls. Then he snorted coldly. 2 balls of black fire floated out from his body, and burned the two of them to ashes. Since they were enemies, Lin Xian would not show mercy. How is it? Morong Qingqing asked from the side. The Duan clan's patriarch really became a challenger. In fact, he just became a challenger a few months ago. At this point, Lin Xian's face became extremely cold. Damn it! How dare he massacre the people of the Palace of Ares? He found out everything that had happened in the past few months from the souls of the two of them. When he found out that the Duan clan's patriarch had given the order to kill him, and everyone related to him, Lin Xian's face instantly became extremely cold. Especially when he found out that the Palace of Ares had suffered heavy losses again, and had no choice but to retreat. Lin Xian exuded an extremely terrifying murderous aura. He did not expect that the Duan clan's patriarch would dare to attack the Palace of Ares. This made him extremely furious. Old dog of the Duan clan, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then, he quickly controlled the spirit boat, and flew towards the Palace of Ares. Instantly, the entire spirit boat exploded with an extremely bright light. It turned into a bolt of lightning, and instantly streaked across the sky. It was like a sharp sword that sliced through the void. In the Tianwu continent, the Duan clan's banquet was getting closer and closer. The entire Tianwu continent was bustling with activity. Not only that, the Duan clan had also gained a lot recently. Because they were frantically searching for Lin Xian, the 9th elder, and the rest were very worried. Therefore, they secretly came out to search for Lin Xian. Unexpectedly, they were discovered by the Duan clan, and immediately arrested, and sent back to the Palace of Ares. When the Duan clan's patriarch and the martial supremacy found out, they sneered sinisterly. They decided to kill the 9th elder, and the rest of the Palace of Ares at the banquet. Chapter 1443. Duan Family, Palace of War Gods. Ever since the news of the Duan family's ancestor becoming a king spread, all the forces in Tianwu continent started to move. Today, it was still close to the Duan family's banquet, and many people had already arrived. It had to be said that the level of this banquet was very high, and it was absolutely terrifying. The entire Palace of War Gods was filled with martial experts. These people all walked like dragons and tigers, and their auras were dense. It could be said that they were the elites of Tianwu continent. Those forces that had always relied on the Duan family were extremely happy, because this time, they could also rise and obtain great benefits. And those forces that had always been neutral wanted to join the Duan family, this new king family. They might even be put in an important position. Of course, when the Duan family was mentioned, the Palace of War Gods and Lin Xian had to be mentioned. Because just a few years ago, Lin Xian had personally killed young Master Ling Feng, who was the future hope of the Duan family. This could be said to be an irreconcilable hatred, and when the Duan family's ancestor came out of seclusion, he issued a kill order, swearing to kill Lin Xian. However, after such a long time, there was still no trace of Lin Xian, which shocked everyone. Some people even guessed that Lin Xian was no longer in Tianwu continent. Otherwise, with the Duan family's current strength and prestige, it was impossible for them to not find him. Don't worry, as long as that brat is here, he will definitely come. Because at this Duan family's banquet, many elders of the Palace of War Gods will be publicly killed. Yeah, I heard about it too. I'm afraid the Duan family's goal is to lure Lin Xian out. No matter what the outcome is, that Lin Xian is finished. He will definitely be killed if he appears. But if he doesn't appear, he will definitely become a coward and be despised by everyone. Yeah, this Lin Xian can be considered unlucky. 2 or 3 years ago, his name shook Tianwu continent, and he could be said to be one of the top geniuses of the younger generation. With his strength alone, the entire Duan family couldn't raise their heads. But who would have thought that in a short 2 or 3 years, the situation would change so drastically? This is also because the Duan family's ancestor is powerful, to actually break through and become a king. This is something that has never happened in the Sky Martial continent for thousands of years. In the cities near the Palace of Ares, there were warriors discussing similar topics everywhere. Now, everyone respected the Duan clan. No one cared about Lin Xian and the remaining forces of the Palace of Ares. The Palace of Gods of War was majestic and domineering. Countless palaces covered the mountains. It was surrounded by spiritual mountains and immortal grass. Between the towering mountains and precipitous ridges, countless pavilions were arranged like stars. Although the internal strife over the years had caused the Palace of Ares to expend quite a bit of its strength, there was still no one who could shake this colossus. And the region it occupied was one of the most fertile regions in the Sky Martial continent. At this moment, all the experts of the Martial Heaven continent were gathering the war god art. Whether it was the older generation's experts or the younger generation's geniuses, they were all gathered. In fact, the kings of the various king clans would also appear at the final banquet. It could be said that this was a scene that made countless people excited. After all, it was rare to see a king tier in ordinary times, but this time, there would be 5 king tiers. Looking at this grand scene, the Duan clan's ancestor was very happy. He did not appear personally. Instead, he sent out martial honors and the younger generation's disciples to welcome them. They had to invite everyone in with the highest standards. He waited quietly for the arrival of the other 4 king tiers. Outside in the mountains it was even more lively. Countless young warriors were walking around. Some were exchanging pointers, some were chatting, some were laughing, some were drinking. The atmosphere was very jubilant. At this moment, a cry of surprise was heard. "Look, young Master Anil is here." It was unknown who shouted, but everyone immediately stopped in their tracks and raised their heads to look forward. The 4 young masters of the Martial Heaven continent, young Master Ling Feng, young Master Anil, young Master Qilin, and young Master Treading Moon. These were the top 4 people in the younger generation. However, young Master Ling Feng had already been killed by Lin Xian. So now, there were only 3 young masters left in the Sky Martial continent. And young Master Anil of the Merry Woods was one of them. Sure enough, in the next moment the crowd dispersed. A youth in white slowly walked over. He held a fan in his hand, and his expression was extremely carefree. Around him, there were a few elders. Their auras were extremely powerful. When their gazes moved, even the void trembled slightly. Young Master Anil's arrival immediately caused a group of warriors to be excited. They all surrounded young Master Anil. That scene was extremely spectacular. Indeed, these people were originally the heroes of the younger generation. But ever since young Master Anil arrived, it was as if everyone's radiance had disappeared. And young Master Anil became the only one in everyone's eyes. Everyone need not be reserved. Just act as usual. Young Master Anil gently fanned himself and said with a smile. Different from young Master Lingfeng's arrogance, young Master Anil had a smile on his face from start to finish. His mood was carefree and did not seem to have any arrogance. This made everyone slightly relieved. At least the other party did not put on an overbearing appearance. But at this moment someone exclaimed, "Look, it's young Master Qilin." Everyone was shocked again and turned their heads. At the back, another group of people walked over. The person in front was tall and straight. His face was handsome, and his aura was powerful. He was not any weaker than young Master Anil. He was young Master Qilin of the Shin family. This young Master Qilin's temper was not as good as young Master Anil's. His face was incomparably cold, and had a trace of arrogance. He did not put the surrounding people in his eyes. Looking at him, his personality was somewhat similar to that of the dead young Master Lingfeng. "Brother Shun, long time no see." Young Master Anil fanned himself, as he looked at young Master Qilin, and said with a chuckle, "Don't pretend to be ignorant. Last time, you snatched 3 of my spirit veins. How do you want to settle this debt?" The moment young Master Qilin came up, he displayed an overbearing aura. Even when facing young Master Anil, he did not back down. "Brother Shun's words are incorrect. Those 3 spirit veins were originally discovered by my Merry Woods. How can it be said that I snatched them from your hands?" Young Master Anil said with a smile, "Less nonsense. No matter what you say, this matter will not end like this. Wait until after this banquet. I want to have a good exchange with you. I want to see what kind of breakthrough your cultivation has recently. You actually dare to touch the things that I fancy. Alright, if you want to exchange pointers, then I will naturally accompany you." Young Master Anil was still smiling, but there was an additional trace of sharpness in his eyes. Seeing 2 young masters whose names shook the continent competing, the other martial artists did not dare to speak, and could only listen quietly. They understood this matter very well in their hearts. Although the 2 of them were peak prodigies, the family forces that they represented were different. It was very normal for there to be friction between them. However, they did not expect that young Master Qilin would actually want to fight with young Master Anil. Needless to say, this would be another fierce battle. Chapter 1444. Seeing the 2 famous young masters fighting, the other warriors did not dare to speak. They could only listen quietly. They were well aware of this. Although the 2 of them were top prodigies, they represented different families. It was normal for there to be friction between them. However, they did not expect that young Master Qilin would want to fight young Master Anil. Needless to say, this would be another fierce battle. Brother Morong, you're here too?" Young Master Anil ignored young Master Qilin and looked back again. "Brother Morong?" Everyone's hearts trembled, and a trace of shock appeared in their eyes. To be addressed by young Master Anil like that, he must not be an ordinary person. Moreover, they had already guessed who he was. Young Master Moonwalker. That's right, young Master Moonwalker of the Morong family was also one of the 4 young masters of Tianwu. Young Master Moonwalker wore a black robe. His face was calm. He was neither arrogant nor smiling. It was as if nothing in the world could move him. He slowly walked over and greeted young Master Anil and young Master Qilin. Suddenly the surrounding atmosphere changed. Although the 3 young masters did not speak, the surrounding powerful gods that made people look up to them. It became abnormally heavy. Following the arrival of these surrounding warriors, The Duan clan also sent out elders to invite them in. Everyone was shocked, although the three of them could not deliberately release their aura. This was because other than the surrounding warriors could not bear the terror. Almost all the important figures with the strength had arrived to come so quickly. Such a grand event could be said to be rare in 1,000 years. At this moment, the palace of gods of war was heavy with the mortal mountains. Everyone turned their heads and saw a young man walking over. The entire place was like a golden battle suit. Among them, there were also countless experts. It's him, Duan Yu. All sorts of spiritual wine, Duan Yu, spiritual fruits, who is he? And precious powerful aura tea were placed on the table. Is he also a disciple of the Duan family? That the real banquet was about to begin. He's young master Ling Feng's younger brother, because the kings had not arrived. Inside story. Not long after, another loud and clear voice everyone gasped. Ancestor Morong has arrived. Younger brother. Instantly, no wonder everyone he was so powerful and looked up at the sky. Thinking about it, he should also be a top prodigy. A purple cloud flew over. The Duan family was like a purple aura that came from the east. There was young master Ling Feng in the younger generation. On top of the cloud, such a peerless figure was sitting cross-legged. Is the Duan family really going dressed in purple? Hearing he was expressionless, young Master Anil, but he had a powerful aura that made everyone's heart beat and young faster. Master Qilin, they could not help but want to kneel down and worship him slightly. Everyone swallowed their saliva. As young Master they knew that the real peerless expert had arrived. Couldn't be considered this was the Morong clan's although he wasn't as strong as them. King. He wasn't too far Ancestor off. Morong. It could be said that he was qualified everyone to cheered at the sky. Seeing the three of them nod from the distant immortal palace, she then said loudly, also flew over. This way, please. Haha, Brother Morong, he was indeed happy. Because the person who flew over from the palace of gods was an old man in the younger generation. He was tall and had white hair and beard. His brother used to be such a person, but his eyes were as sharp as lightning. But now his brother was dead. This was the Duan clan's ancestor, the new brother. The appearance of the position of young Master the atmosphere of the entire venue. He would have to gain the recognition of these three people. Everyone looked up at the sky with excitement. Why the Duan clan sent him out to receive young Master Anil. Kings were the most powerful beings in the continent. This was because the Duan clan needed to support another young Master to see them. Very now soon, they were seeing young Master at the same time, and the other two were asked to leave. This was definitely the most unforgettable thing in their lives. Down for a moment. Congratulations, everyone Brother looked at the backs of the three of them as they left, Morong opened his eyes, envious, and smiled at the Duan clan's ancestor. They cried out again because he was invited to the main hall of the palace of gods of war by the Duan clan's ancestor. Great elder has arrived, but not long after, another voice of Divine Bird Palace has arrived. The Merry King has arrived. The guardian elder of the Shen family clan's ancestor has arrived. One after another, Dean Xian of the Immortal Martial Academy from the sky while riding on voices clouds sounded and mist. One after another. They either rode on rare and precious beasts of the sky martial continent arrived, flying treasures. Hearing the voices, the Duan clan's ancestor and ancestor Morong, who were in the palace of gods of war, all came out. In the sky, a divine chariot streaked across the sky like a bolt of lightning. Pulling the chariot were 9 white lions. Each of them was as big as a small mountain. They were extraordinarily mighty, and had an aura that made people's hearts tremble. They were an ancient species, the Ice Snow Demon Lion. Each of them was extremely precious, and could not be bought with money. Moreover, the aura of these Ice Snow Demon Lions was very strong. They had even reached the level of a 9-star demon general. They were extremely terrifying. But at this moment, they could only pull the chariot. This was shocking. Chapter 1445. These Ice Snow Demonic Lions' auras were extremely powerful. They had even reached the level of a 9-star demon general. It could be said that they were extremely terrifying. However, at this moment, they could only pull the carriage. This was extremely shocking. The one sitting in the carriage was naturally the Happy King. 8 beautiful women dressed in colorful clothes accompanied the divine palanquin as it walked. They were like fairies floating in the sky. Soon, the entire carriage was suspended in the sky. 2 of the beautiful women half knelt in the sky and gently pulled open the jade curtains. Then a figure walked out of the carriage. Seeing this figure, everyone was stunned. This was because the person who walked out of the carriage was a young man of about 16 or 17 years old. His figure was thin, his face was handsome, and his eyes were extremely clear. His entire body carried an ethereal aura, as if he was a fairy child. Who is this? Everyone was puzzled. No way could he be the Happy King? Everyone's eyes widened. They could not believe it. Because in their opinion, since he was a king, he should be a senior figure. However, the figure in the sky was too young. It was obviously a young man. Even Mary Forrest's young master Anil looked older than him. For a moment, everyone was bewildered and stunned. As for the 16 or 17-year-old youth in the sky, he lightly snorted and stood with his hands behind his back. Fellowin, it's an honor to meet you. The Duan family's patriarch cupped his fists. Beside him, Patriarch Morong also shook his head slightly. Old man, you're obviously more than 1,000 years old, but you always like to pretend to be young. Seeing the reactions of the Duan family's patriarch and Patriarch Morong, everyone knew that the young man in front of them should be the happy king. However, they were still extremely shocked, because this image was too different from the king they had imagined. The happy king snorted coldly. What do you know? I'm cultivating, so that I can stay young forever. You want to look like this? You can't do it. Hearing the happy king's words, Patriarch Morong smiled and shook his head. At this moment, another laugh came from the sky. What? Based on what you said, this old man's cultivation is unorthodox? Another old voice came. This voice contained powerful energy, so much so that everyone's scalp went numb. There was no need to think too much about it. Just by looking at the energy and the tone, one could tell that this person's identity wasn't any lower than the happy king's. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky again. Sure enough, another old man appeared in the sky. The old man sat on a huge golden chariot. The golden chariot radiated light like a sun. The ones pulling the carriage were similarly astonishing, 9 flood dragons. Every single one of them was extremely ferocious and carried a powerful aura. They were all 9-star demon generals. That old man had the demeanor of a transcendent being, as if he had descended from the heavens. Shen clan's patriarch. Everyone cried out in surprise. That's right. The old man sitting on the golden chariot was the Chen family's old ancestor. The merry monarch glanced at the patriarch of the Shen family and snorted coldly. Old man Shen, in my opinion, your Shen family's heavenfall purity technique is indeed not that great. Why don't you cultivate my Merry Forest's Lotus Treasure Appraisal technique? I can guarantee that your strength will increase greatly in a short period of time. Don't try this on me, Anne. Every time we meet, you say that my Shen family's heavenfall purity technique is weak. Whether it's powerful or not, we'll only know after we fight. After saying that, the patriarch of the Shen family snorted coldly, and a powerful aura gushed out from his body. This aura was like the abyss of the sea. Once it appeared, the entire void trembled. The martial artists below felt their scalps go numb. Many of them even knelt on the ground and shivered. This was the aura of a king. They could not resist at all. At this moment, the patriarch of the Duan family hurriedly advised, "Both of you, give me some face. Why don't we all go in together and have tea and discuss?" On the side, Patriarch Morong also waved his hand. Instantly, the martial artists below trembled. They felt that the terrifying aura had disappeared. Immediately, they heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly bowed to the sky. "Thank you, Senior Morong." Patriarch Morong nodded slightly and said, "Old man Shen, don't do this every time. If you two want to fight, find a place where there's no one. Even if you two turn the world upside down, I won't care. But don't do it here. You'll scare the kids below." Hearing this, the patriarch of the Shen family snorted coldly and retracted his aura. Seeing this, the patriarch of the Duan family heaved a sigh of relief. But in the next moment he frowned slightly. This was because someone was flying in the sky from afar. It was a spirit boat. It was azure in color and emitted streams of light. It was like the stars in the sky, flickering with resplendent light. On this spirit boat, a middle-aged man stood. His face was fair and clean, and his gaze was as deep as the stars. The aura on his body was like the abyss of the sea, unfathomable. Behind him, there were more than 10 elders and a few young disciples. This group of people were martial artists from the Immortal Martial Academy, and the middle-aged man in front was Dean Xian. The reason why the patriarch of the Duan family frowned was because the Immortal Martial Academy and the Palace of Ares had a very good relationship. Although they did not directly attack, they still stood on opposite sides. But this time, he still invited the Immortal Martial Academy. After all, the other party was a king faction and could not be underestimated. But he did not expect that they would really come. This made him a little bewildered. because he knew that the other party was definitely not here to congratulate him. It was very likely that they were here for the elders of the palace of Ares that he had captured. But when he saw that there were only more than 10 elders and a few young disciples behind Din Xian, he instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Because with just these few people, they could not cause any waves. One must know that he was now a true king faction. He would definitely not be afraid of Din Xian. And the rest were not a match for his Duan family. It could be said that if the other party dared to attack, he would definitely retaliate without mercy. Thinking of this, his lips curled up into a smile. Daoist Xian, I've heard a lot about you. The patriarch of the Duan family squinted his eyes and laughed. No matter how one looked at it, there was a trace of provocation in his expression. At this moment, Patriarch Morong, the Happy King, and the Shen family's patriarch also greeted Din Xian. Din Xian responded to them one by one. She did not say anything, but her eyes were incomparably deep. Then, the patriarch of the Duan family invited the few kings to the main hall of the palace of Ares. After the few kings left, everyone finally heaved a sigh of relief. Then they all sat on the ground paralyzed. It could not be helped. It was too terrifying. Even a trace of aura was not something that they could fight against. This was the might of a king faction. It was completely above them. Chapter 1446. The last one to arrive should be Dean Xian of the Immortal Martial Academy, right? I didn't expect him to come too. Someone said doubtfully. Yeah, I heard that Dean Xian has always supported the Lin family. I didn't expect him to come to the Duan family's banquet. What's the big deal? The Duan family captured many elders of the Palace of Ares. Dean Xian is probably here to plead for those elders. Moreover, Lin Xian might appear this time too. With Dean Xian here, Lin Xian might be able to keep his life. Everyone was discussing and guessing what was going to happen next. Not long after, a low drumming sound could be heard. The sound was long and carried with it the sound of thunder. Everyone knew that the banquet was about to begin. In the next moment, everyone soared into the sky and flew towards the mountain range in the center. In the mountain range ahead, there was a vast valley. The valley was ethereal and beautiful with dense spiritual energy, because there were hundreds of precious spiritual herbs growing inside. It was called the 100 Herb Valley. The banquet this time was held in the 100 Herb Valley. At this moment, the 100 Herb Valley was already prepared and waiting for everyone to arrive. The valley was huge and could easily accommodate tens of thousands of people. Many cultivators entered the 100 Herb Valley and looked for their seats. If one was careful, they would realize that the decorations were very particular. It was roughly divided into 5 sections according to the sovereign family. The 5 most dazzling seats were reserved for the 5 sovereigns. Below the throne were the core elders of the various sovereign families. They were all arranged according to seniority and strength. And among the younger generation, the 4 princes of the Tianwu kingdom were the most respected. Prince Anil, Prince Qilin, and Prince Moonwalker sat in their respective sections, showing their superior status. Although Prince Lingfeng was killed, the Duan family sent out Duanyu, who was wearing golden armor. He sat in the same position as the other 3 princes of the Tianwu kingdom. Obviously, the Duan family wanted to turn Duanyu into another Prince Tianwu. Duanyu sat there with a confident smile on his face. He was too excited. Previously, with his brother Prince Lingfeng around, he couldn't stand out at all. But now Prince Lingfeng was killed. This was something he didn't dare to believe even in his dreams. However, this was also the greatest benefit to him, because he would become the next Prince Tianwu. Seeing Duanyu sitting in the same position as young noble Anil and the others, everyone was shocked. They naturally knew what this meant, but they never expected that the Duan family would be so eager to create another Prince Tianwu just a few years after Prince Lingfeng died. Young noble Anil, young noble Qilin, and young noble Moonwalker didn't say anything. Even though Duanyu was weaker than them, there wasn't much of a difference between them. Furthermore, other than Duanyu, it was unlikely that anyone else could become young Master Tianwu. Furthermore, the ancestor of the Duan clan had just become a king clan, and the Duan clan had just become a king clan. There was nothing wrong with letting his disciple become one of the Tianwu young masters. At this time, an elder of the Divine Bird Palace said with a smile, "Young Master Duanyu may be young, but his talent and strength have already surpassed everyone else. It seems like the next young Master Duanyu will be the Tianwu Prince." With someone taking the lead, the others naturally began to congratulate him as well. When Duanyu heard this, the smile on his face grew even wider. His eyes were bursting with confidence. He believed that as long as he was given time, he would definitely be able to surpass the previous young Master Lingfeng. However, at this time, a cold snort was heard. Just because young Master Lingfeng is dead, can someone else become young Master Tianwu? Since when did young Master Tianwu become so worthless? Hearing this voice, everyone's expression changed. Many of them even frowned. They wanted to see who it was that dared to speak so arrogantly. However, in the next moment, the voice continued to speak. If you ask me, if anyone were to choose young Master Tianwu, it would be Lin Xian, because he killed young Master Lingfeng. Naturally, his strength is above young Master Lingfeng. Other than him, I can't think of anyone else who can become the new young Master Tianwu. Boom! When these words were spoken, everyone was in an uproar. Their heads exploded with a boom. Arrogant, this was too arrogant. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. To say such words in such an occasion Wasn't this a provocation to the Duan clan? Just who was it that was so daring? To actually dare to humiliate the Duan clan in public? Wasn't this courting death? They were indeed shocked. One had to know that the Duan clan was no longer the Duan clan of the past. It was a true sovereign clan. Now, everyone could not wait to be more careful. Yet someone dared to humiliate the Duan clan in such a place. How audacious! Duan Ye's expression immediately darkened. He was like an angry lion. His gaze was like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. He wasn't the only one. The entire Duan clan had a gloomy expression. Especially the Duan clan's old ancestor. His gaze froze as a terrifying aura was emitted from his body. However, when everyone saw the person who had spoken, they were all stunned. This was because the person who had spoken was none other than a disciple of the Shen clan. Shen Xiaqi, shut up. Young Master Qilin snorted coldly. That's right. The person who had spoken was Shen Xiaqi. One had to know that he was extremely grateful to Lin Xian because Lin Xian had cured his elder sister, Shen Jingqiu. It could be said that Lin Xian was their clan's benefactor. Now, he naturally had to step forward to seek justice for Lin Xian. At this moment, hearing young Master Qilin's cold snort, Shen Jingqiu also raised her small face and said seriously, "What Xiaqi said is right." At this moment, everyone's gaze was gathered on the Shen clan. Most of them landed on Shen Xiaqi and Shen Jingqiu. They naturally knew that Lin Xian had once saved Shen Jingqiu. That was why the other party had such a performance. However, this was the Duan clan's banquet after all. The Duan clan's old ancestor had just become a sovereign. No matter what reason there was, he could not say such words here. Seeing that it was a disciple of the Shen clan and Shen Lingquan's child, the Duan clan's old ancestor did not speak. Instead, he narrowed his eyes, because he knew that Shen Lingquan's status in the Duan clan was extraordinary. Furthermore, this was a matter between the juniors. As a sovereign, it was not appropriate for him to interfere. However, Duan Yu did not have such misgivings. He snorted coldly. What qualifications does Lin Xian, that kind of trash, have to come to Tianwu, young master? If he doesn't have the qualifications, you have the qualifications? You have to know that he killed young master Lingfeng. If it were you, would you be able to do it? Shen Xiaqi did not show any mercy, and continued to slap his face. Hearing this, the Duan clan's disciples' faces turned black, because this could be said to be their sore spot. As one of the Tianwu young masters, young master Lingfeng led almost half of the Duan clan's experts to hunt down Lin Xian. In the end, they were killed instead. Not only that, not a single person left alive. Countless experts, including young master Lingfeng, were all annihilated. This was simply unbelievable. Therefore, this matter became the Duan clan's sore spot. No one dared to mention it again. But he didn't expect that it would be brought up again in front of so many people. Chapter 1447. That Lin fellow used despicable means to harm my brother. If it was a real battle, he wouldn't be able to win. Duan Yu gritted his teeth. He didn't want to continue on this topic, so he glared at Shen Xiaqi. Since you're not convinced, why don't you come down and spar with me? Let's see if I'm qualified to become young Master Tianwu. As he spoke, a terrifying aura rose from Duan Ye's body. Feeling this aura, everyone's heart beat wildly, and their faces were filled with shock. This aura was too powerful. It had already surpassed many older martial artists, and was not much weaker than young Master Anil, and the other two. So powerful. No wonder the Duan family wants Duan Yu and young Master Tianwu. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Yeah, Duan Yu is a few years younger than young Master Lingfeng, but his cultivation is already very close. I'm afraid he'll surpass young Master Lingfeng in a few years. Many people were praising him. At this moment, Shen Xiaqi curled his lips. How old are you? You should be in your 20s. How old am I? I'm only 15. You want to spar with me? You're shameless. Someone like you wants to be young Master Tianwu? Have you ever seen a young Master Tianwu spar with a 15-year-old kid? Shen Xiaqi asked a series of questions with a look of disdain. Duan Yu was so angry that he vomited blood. He was so angry that he didn't notice the other party's age. Now it seemed that the other party was indeed only 15 or 16 years old. Indeed, with his status and cultivation, he couldn't possibly fight such a young man, especially in front of so many people. However, the other party acted arrogantly and provoked him. This angered him so much that he almost puked blood. "Since you know that you can't challenge me, then shut your mouth," Duan Yu said coldly. "Shut my mouth? Why should I shut my mouth? I want fight, I want shut my mouth. What can you do to me?" Shen Xiaoqi rolled his eyes. "If you're really capable, then spar with big brother Lin Xian. Let's see if he'll slash you." The crowd was speechless. Although what Shen Xiaoqi said might be true, his attitude was too arrogant. Spar with Lin Xian? How could this be? Didn't they see that the Duan family had been searching for him for so many days, but they still couldn't find him? Who the hell knew where he had gone? Moreover, no one believed that Lin Xian would come here. One had to know that the Duan family's patriarch was here. Lin Xian was definitely courting death by coming here. Most likely, the other party wouldn't be so foolish. Therefore, it was impossible to find Lin Xian to compete with him. Duan Yu naturally knew this as well, so he sneered. "Humph, that Lin guy is just lucky that he didn't meet me. Otherwise, if he dares to come over, I can crush him with one finger." Ha ha ha. At the end of his speech, he laughed proudly. "Is that so? I'm here. Can you crush me to death with one finger?" However, at this moment, a cold voice rang out. Like a sharp sword, it instantly cut through the entire valley. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Who is this? He actually dared to provoke the Duan clan? Duan Yu's laughter also came to an abrupt halt. His face was flushed red, while his eyes darkened as he quickly scanned his surroundings. "Who is it? Get out here." At this moment, even young Master Anil, young Master Qilin, and young Master Moonwalker frowned. This was because they did not notice where the voice came from. However, the Duan family's patriarch's face darkened. His eyes flickered with a cold light. On the side, the martial honorable's expression was even more ferocious. This was because he naturally knew whose voice it was. Din Xian was also stunned. His expression changed rapidly. Even his hands in his sleeves were clenched tightly. He did not expect the other party to come. "Oh no, I didn't expect things to come to this." Din Xian sighed in his heart, and quickly raised his head to look at the sky. At the same time, the other kings also raised their heads to look at the sky. As kings, they were extremely powerful, far surpassing the warriors around them. Naturally, they could tell that the voice came from the sky. When the surrounding warriors saw the kings looking up at the sky, they immediately raised their heads and looked over in confusion. In the next moment, their mouths were agape. This was because a shadow suddenly appeared in the sky. It was like a dark cloud that covered the sky. Immediately after, a figure like a mountain rapidly descended from the sky. Boom! Soon the figure landed on the ground. Suddenly, the entire valley shook violently as if there was an earthquake. In the middle of the valley, dust clouds were stirred up. It formed into a shockwave that swept the surroundings. Fortunately, the valley was protected by an array. Otherwise, the entire valley would have collapsed. Everyone's expression changed drastically. They did not expect the person to be so powerful, who was so bold as to cause trouble at the Duan family's banquet. In an instant, everyone craned their necks and looked in front of them. The warriors of the Duan family looked even more ferocious as they looked at the center. When the morning fog dissipated, a figure appeared in front of everyone. What? It's him. No way, am I seeing things? It's actually him. He really came. How dare he come? Everyone's mouths were agape. They could not believe it. This was because they saw a young figure standing in the middle of the valley. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His gaze was like lightning. His entire body carried a sharp aura. He was like a sword deity that was unstoppable. Lin Xian. It's actually Lin Xian. In the next moment, countless people screamed. One had to know that Lin Xian was on the kill order of the Duan family's old ancestor. It could be said that the situation was extremely dangerous. However, the other party had appeared in such a grand manner. Was he not courting death? Everyone's mind went blank. They could not understand what the other party wanted to do. At this moment, countless warriors looked at Lin Xian with puzzled expressions. As for Din Xian and the other warriors of the Immortal Martial Academy, when they saw Lin Xian, their hearts sank. Not good he still came. Dean, what should we do? Should we make a move? Many elders asked. They did not expect Lin Xian to really come. This was probably the worst outcome, because the Duan family would not let Lin Xian go. Din Xian also said in a low voice, "Don't worry. With me around, nothing will happen to him." Hearing this, the warriors of the Immortal Martial Academy heaved a sigh of relief. However, their faces were still filled with worry. The warriors of the Duan family laughed sinisterly. They did not expect the other party to be so stupid. Did he really dare to walk right into their trap? Ha 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 ha. What an idiot. He actually dared to come. This brat is too arrogant. But this time he's dead for sure. Since he dares to come to our Duan family, well, definitely make sure he doesn't return. That's for sure. Our Duan family has long become a king family, and our strength has increased greatly. He dared to kill a warrior of our Duan family. This time, well, definitely tear him into pieces. The warriors of the Duan family all had sinister expressions on their faces. Their voices were ice cold. Wu Zun stood up abruptly and pointed at Lin Xian. He coldly said, "Brat, you dared to kill my Chun-er. It'll make you wish you were dead." Chapter 1448. This kid is too arrogant, but he's dead for sure this time. How dare he come to my Duan clan? This time he won't be able to leave. That's for sure. My Duan clan has long become a king clan, and our strength has greatly increased. He dared to kill my Duan clan's warrior. This time we'll tear him to pieces. The Duan clan's disciples looked ferocious, and their voices were cold. Wu Zun suddenly stood up, pointed at Lin Xian, and said coldly, "Kid, you dared to kill my Chun-er. It'll make you wish you were dead." On the side, Duan Yu also snorted coldly. "Kid, kneel down and accept your death." Lin Xian's appearance caused a commotion among the crowd. It couldn't be helped, it was too shocking. One had to know that if Lin Xian stepped out in this situation, he would definitely die. Even so, the other party really came. How dare you? This is King Duan's banquet, it's incomparably sacred. How dare you cause trouble here? Back down. An elder from Divine Bird Palace stood up and suddenly shouted. Everyone in the world knew the relationship between Lin Xian and the Duan clan, and it was irreconcilable. Now Lin Xian dared to come to the Duan clan's banquet. He was undoubtedly here to cause trouble. Divine Bird Palace's intention to stand up at this time was obvious, and that was to curry favor with the Duan clan. Who do you think you are? How dare you point fingers in front of me? Get lost! Lin Xian glanced at the elder of Divine Bird Palace, and then shouted coldly, without any trace of politeness. You! Hearing Lin Xian's words, the elder of Divine Bird Palace trembled with anger. Junior! You're too presumptuous. How dare you disrespect your elders? Being scolded by a young man in his 20s in front of so many people, the elder of Divine Bird Palace was too ashamed to step down, and his face was livid with anger. Whose elder are you? How dare you flaunt your seniority in front of me? You're courting death. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and his voice was like thunder with terrifying power. Suddenly, the elder of Divine Bird Palace trembled, and he almost fell down. Not only that, but his ears were bleeding, and his whole person became extremely weak. It was obvious that the sound from earlier had caused him to suffer internal injuries. Not only the elder of the Divine Bird Palace, but everyone felt their hearts tremble. The reason for that was because the energy and killing intent contained within that voice was simply too terrifying. It caused their hearts to palpitate in fear. It was just that Lin Xian deliberately targeted the elder of Divine Bird Palace, so the other party was seriously injured. However, the others felt their scalps go numb. What kind of method was this? This was too terrifying. A single sound was enough to seriously injure an elder of the Divine Bird Palace. Heavens, this Lin Xian really lives up to his reputation. No wonder he could kill Prince Ling Feng. Yeah, isn't he a little too strong? Everyone was discussing animatedly. They were extremely shocked. On the other side, the Duan clan's ancestor's face became increasingly gloomy. He was naturally able to sense that this young man before him was extraordinary. If he was allowed to continue growing, then he would definitely become the #1 enemy of their Duan clan. He would not allow such a danger to continue growing. Thinking of this, the Duan clan's ancestor's eyes turned cold. He originally wanted to hunt down Lin Xian, but he did not manage to find him. However, he did not expect that the other party would take the initiative to come knocking on his door today. The heavens were really helping him. For a moment, all eyes were on Lin Xian. However, at this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the sky again. Following that, several figures quickly descended. There's someone else. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to have helpers. The Duan clan's warriors were even more nervous. If the other party brought any experts, they must counterattack immediately. However, in the next moment they were stunned. The people who came were not as they had imagined. 3 figures appeared. One of them was a peerless woman dressed in purple. In her arms was a red little fox with 9 tails. Morong Qingcheng. Seeing this woman in purple, everyone exclaimed in surprise. They naturally recognized her. This was the heavenly girl, whose name shook the continent. Her fame was no less than that of the 4 princes of Tianwu. The other person was a woman in a black robe and a golden mask. She was as cold as a knife. Her eyes were as sharp as a knife, carrying a biting killing intent. She was Luo Bingshan. Not many people knew her, but no one doubted her strength. The other person was the dark red divine dragon. At this moment, it had already retracted its kingly aura. Furthermore, it did not transform into its divine dragon form. Therefore, it looked like a 1-meter-long snake. The appearance of the 3 caused quite a stir, especially the Morong clan. They all heaved a sigh of relief. They naturally knew that Morong Qingqing had left for 2 to 3 years. However, they did not know where she went. Now that they saw her return safely, they could finally put down the stone in their hearts. Patriarch Morong also smiled and nodded in satisfaction. Kid, this is my clan's patriarch's banquet. Are you really going to ruin it? At this moment, an old man from the Duan clan stood up and shouted coldly. His voice was extremely cold. Kid, this is not a place where you can behave atrociously. The guests this time are the 5 great kings, supreme existences. Quickly kneel on the ground and admit your guilt. Otherwise, my Duan clan will not be courteous. It was obvious that the Duan clan was using the great kings to suppress others. Hehe, the Duan clan is so powerful. Lin Xian sneered. However, since it's a banquet in Tianmu continent, how can the Palace of Ares be absent? As the young master of the Palace of Ares, I brought a few friends to attend the banquet. Is the Duan clan not welcoming me? Lin Xian looked around disdainfully. Palace of Ares? Hearing this, everyone had a strange expression. Did the Palace of Ares still exist? However, although everyone thought so, no one said it out loud. Guests from afar. Men, give them a seat. At this moment, the patriarch of the Duan clan suddenly spoke. Although the Duan clan warriors below were unwilling, they did not dare to go against the patriarch's words. Therefore, they quickly arranged some seats for Lin Xian, Morong Qingcheng, and the rest to sit. Qingcheng, you guys go sit there first. Lin Xian turned around and said softly. After that, Morong Qingcheng, the Luo Bing trio, and the dark red divine dragon went to the seats that were just vacated. However, Lin Xian did not move and remained standing there. The cultivators of the Duan clan immediately frowned when they saw this scene. Kid, the seats are already vacated for you. Why are you still not leaving? Do you still want to cause trouble? The patriarch of the Duan clan shouted coldly again. His voice was like thunder that exploded in all directions, carrying a terrifying killing intent. Those are the seats for the guests. It's not a problem for my friends to sit there. However, I'm different. I'm the young master of the Palace of Ares. And this is the territory of the Palace of Ares. You want me to sit in the guest seat? Are you out of your mind? Lin Xian shouted coldly and did not back down. His voice was as cold as a sharp sword. At the end of his sentence, a terrifying aura surged from his body. I'm from the Palace of Ares. Naturally, I have to sit in the main seat. Old dog of the Duan clan, get down here. Chapter 1449. Old dog of the Duan clan, get down here. A loud shout startled everyone. As soon as this voice came out, everyone was dumbfounded. They felt as if their minds had gone blank, and they were about to explode. They didn't dare to imagine that a young man in his 20s actually dared to berate the Duan clan's old ancestor. Yes, Lin Xian was right. He was the young master of the Palace of Ares. And this place was also the Palace of Ares. He should have been sitting on the main seat as the owner. But so what? The Palace of Ares was no longer the Lin clans, but the Duan clans. And the Duan clan's old ancestor even broke through and became a king. He became the pinnacle existence. Who cared if the Palace of Ares belonged to the Lin clan? And now Lin Xian actually dared to berate a king? Was he not afraid of death? Therefore, Lin Xian's actions really shocked everyone. In their opinion, this was purely an act of courting death. For a moment, the entire valley fell into an extremely tense atmosphere, as if a bomb would explode at any time. How dare you? Impudent. Kid, you're courting death. Quickly kneel down and accept your death. A group of people shouted angrily. These people were all martial artists of the Duan clan. At this moment, they were full of killing intent as they stared at Lin Xian. The other party actually dared to insult their old ancestor. He really deserved to die. The Duan clan's old ancestor's face was gloomy as his cold gaze locked onto Lin Xian. As long as he moved a finger, he could kill the other party, because he was a king. However, right at that moment, he felt another aura firmly locking onto him. This aura seemed to be even stronger than his. Instantly, the Duan clan's old ancestor raised his brows and glanced over. Din Xian. He snorted coldly in his heart. That's right, the one staring at him now was Din Xian of the Immortal Martial Academy. The Duan clan's old ancestor didn't doubt that as long as he made a move, Din Xian would immediately make a move too. Therefore, for a moment, he only looked coldly at Lin Xian and didn't say anything. However, just because he didn't make a move, it didn't mean that the people below wouldn't make a move. And in the Duan clan's old ancestor's opinion, no matter how powerful the other party was, he was still just a young man. He didn't even need to do anything to such a person. The Duan clan's powerhouses had 100 ways to make him suffer a fate worse than death. Sure enough, in the next moment, the martial sovereign also stood up. His cold gaze landed on Lin Xian as he said in an icy voice, "You're that Lin Xian." After a few years, this martial honorable had become even more powerful. He was like a giant beast in the deep abyss, and no one could see through him. However, the aura it emitted had long since surpassed that of a half-step king. It was the most terrifying existence beneath the kings. "Which one are you?" Lin Xian asked coldly, when he saw the other party's aggressive aura. "You killed my son. Today, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. I will use your head as a sacrifice to my Chen-er." Wu Zun's voice was cold. "Duan Chen? I don't know them. I've killed too many people. Do I have to remember the names of every Tom, Dick and Harry?" Hearing this, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched. Lin Xian didn't know who Duan Chen was, but everyone else did. Duan Chen was young Master Ling Feng's real name. Now the martial sovereign wanted to stand up for his son young Master Ling Feng. In fact, how could Lin Xian not know? Ever since the martial sovereign stood up, he knew that the other party wanted to stand up for young Master Ling Feng. However, he was intentionally using words to attack the other party. When two parties were fighting, they naturally had to attack the other party's aura first. Winning without a fight was the best result. "Little bastard, no matter how eloquent you are, today is the day you die. Yes, you killed my brother. Today, you will die kneeling." On the other side, Duan Yu also shouted coldly. He was wearing a golden armor, and his entire body was shining brightly under the sun. He looked like a god of war. "Which one are you again?" Lin Xian glanced at him and said indifferently, "I'm talking to your Duan family's elders. Who are you to interrupt?" Quickly slap him. Crazy, this was too crazy. Everyone's scalp went numb. They couldn't believe it. One had to know that Duan Yu was extremely powerful. He even had the qualifications to be called young Master Tianwu. But now he was being taught a lesson by Lin Xian. It was like an elder teaching a junior a lesson. Wasn't this slapping the Duan family's face? You, die. Brat, I'll fight it out with you." As expected, Duan Yu was immediately enraged. He was like a mad lion as he strode forward. Every step he took caused the ground to tremble. A terrifying golden aura gushed out from his body. He was like a god of death, as he arrived beside Lin Xian in an instant. "What? You want to fight?" Lin Xian sneered with his hands behind his back. He didn't care at all. Seeing this scene, everyone became nervous. They didn't expect such a thing to happen when the banquet had just started. If they didn't kill Lin Xian, the banquet wouldn't be able to continue. As expected, the Duan family had the same thoughts, so they didn't stop them. In the Immortal Martial Academy, Din Xian didn't make a move either. Din Xian's main goal was to keep an eye on the Duan family's patriarch. He believed that with Lin Xian's strength, he should be able to deal with this situation. As for Morong Qingqing and the others, they were even more relieved. One had to know that Lin Xian had killed the Black Dragon leader in the Tianan region. That was a true legend, not to mention this Duan Yu in front of them. Therefore, Morong Qingqing, the falling ice mountain, and the dark red divine dragon were all carefully sipping their spiritual tea. They looked like they were watching a show. Brat, you're too arrogant. I don't know what tricks you used to harm my brother, but with your strength, I can kill you with one slap. Duanye's voice was ferocious. Kneel down and apologize to the Duan family now, and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. You talk too much. If you want to fight, let's fight. Lin Xian snorted coldly. A fierce aura suddenly rose from his body, like a peerless divine sword. Even in the sky, countless gusts of wind were dancing wildly. There were faint sounds of thunder all around. This aura was too terrifying. It was far beyond everyone else's. It had reached the peak of the younger generation. Even young Master Anil and the others were paying attention with rapt attention. They also wanted to know what kind of strength Lin Xian had to be able to kill young Master Ling Feng. Was it true ability, or was it just a trick? Among them, young Master Anil waved the folding fan in his hand and nodded slightly. Not bad, not bad. Judging from this aura, it's not weaker than us. Young Master Moonwalker did not speak. He only nodded slightly. On the side, young Master Qilin snorted disdainfully. Comparable to us? Him. What a joke. I don't know what tricks this brat used to harm Ling Feng. How can he be compared to us? What a joke. Just watch. There's no need for us to do anything. Duan Yu alone can kill this brat. Among the Shen family's crowd, Shen Jingqiu and Shen Xiaqi clenched their fists nervously. Especially Shen Jingqiu. Her pair of big eyes stared at Lin Xian without blinking. She was too happy. She did not expect Lin Xian to really come. However, she was also very nervous. She was worried about Lin Xian's safety. You want to fight? All right, brat, I'll fulfill your wish. Chapter 1450. You want to fight? Alright kid, I'll fulfill your wish. However, our battle won't be so simple. Duan Yu sneered and looked at the Martial Honorable. The Martial Honorable sat down again and nodded. Alright. Thank you, father. Duan Yu was overjoyed. He waved his hand and instantly, on the other side of the valley, a light flashed and a formation was formed. Then, 7 to 8 old figures appeared. They were all old men with injuries all over their bodies. They looked dispirited and were covered in blood. At this moment, they were tied up by countless divine ropes and hung in mid-air. Seeing these figures, everyone was shocked. Those elders of the Immortal Martial Academy all stood up, their eyes fixed on the scene in front of them. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression instantly turned ice-cold. His eyes were filled with blood-red murderous intent. The old figures in front of him were the 9th Elder, the 10th Elder, and a few other old men from the War God Palace. They were worried about Lin Xian, so they secretly came out to search for him. They didn't expect to be caught by the Duan family. Then they were brought here and tortured. Now they were taken out in front of everyone and prepared to be slaughtered. The 9th Elder and the others also saw Lin Xian, and their bodies trembled. Young master, leave quickly. The ancestor of the Duan family has already become a king. Leave quickly. Yes, young master. Don't worry about us, leave quickly. Din Xian will bring you away. The 10th Elder and the rest shouted crazily. They didn't expect Lin Xian to come. This was definitely the worst news. The Duan family was an inescapable net. Once they came, they wouldn't be able to leave. Lin Xian clenched his fists and his body trembled. He took a deep breath and tried his best to control his murderous intent. 9th Elder, 10th Elder, seniors of the War God Palace, don't worry. I will definitely let you leave safely. Not only that, I will make those who hurt you pay back 100 times. With that, Lin Xian's cold eyes swept across the Duan family. Instantly, the martial artists of the Duan family trembled and felt a chill in their hearts. That was because the other party's gaze was too terrifying. It was as if he was a god of death. However, the ancestor of the Duan clan, the martial sovereign, Duan Yu, and the others were all sneering. Among them, Duan Yu even coldly said, "Brat, do you want to save them? Sure, compete with me. However, I have something to tell you. Every 3 moves, I will kill 1 person. There are a total of 7 people here. In other words, we only have a chance to exchange 21 moves. If you win in 3 moves, I will release all of them. And if you are unable to defeat me within 21 moves, then all of them will die. Remember, you're the one who killed them." Duan Yu stared at Lin Xian and laughed maniacally. As for the surrounding martial artists, they felt a chill in their hearts. Killing 1 person every 3 moves, this Duan clan was too ruthless. One had to know that Duan Yu was on the same level as young Master Tianwu. No matter how strong this Lin Xian was, how could he defeat his opponent in 20 moves? As for winning in 3 moves, that was even more impossible. In other words, all the elders of the Palace of War Gods had to die. Killing 1 person in 3 moves was indeed ruthless. It seemed like the Duan clan was determined to kill all the elders of the Palace of War Gods. Not only that, even Lin Xian wouldn't be able to escape in the end. Ancestor Morong didn't say anything. His finger tapped lightly in the air as a satisfied smile appeared on his face. The martial reverend also nodded slightly. Indeed, in his opinion, with Duan Yu's strength, the outcome wouldn't be decided without 100 moves. And by that time, all the people from the Palace of War Gods would have been killed. The people from the Immortal Martial Academy couldn't sit still anymore. One of the reasons they came here was to rescue the 9th Elder and the others. Now that they saw those people being dragged out in front of everyone, they were furious. Din Xian's gaze was also gloomy. He had already decided to find a suitable time to act. At this moment, Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Fine, I agree to your request. Hurry up and die." Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and there was no trace of fear in it. At this moment, he was like a god of war. The aura he emitted made everyone's heart tremble. He agreed? How is that possible? Could it be that he thinks he can finish off Duan Yu in less than 20 moves? He's crazy. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. However, when they saw the confident expression on Lin Xian's face, their hearts trembled. What was with that confident smile of hers? Could it be that he still had some secret methods? Everyone was puzzled. However, Duan Yu sneered. "Brat, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." From afar, the cultivators from the Duan clan shouted coldly, "Brother, you kill him. Kill this brat. Avenge our Duan clan. Idiot brat, he dares to fight with Duan Yu. He's really courting death. Just you wait. Today will be his burial ground." Everyone sneered. Duan Yu also took a step forward. The golden armor on his body emitted a dazzling light. He was like a golden god of war, emitting an unparalleled power. At this moment, Duanye's gaze was piercingly cold. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His entire body carried a surging aura. He raised his arrogant head and looked ahead. Brat, I'll let you know my true strength. Universe-suppressing fist. In the next moment, Duanyu roared. The golden armor on his body flickered with incomparable light. Then he punched out. The terrifying fist directly shattered the void. This punch was simply too terrifying. It carried an unparalleled amount of power. Countless golden lights flickered. There were a total of 49 golden lights, each of which transformed into a sharp sword. The 49 sharp swords accompanied the fist and quickly enveloped Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, everyone's heart beat wildly. Many people revealed astonished expressions. This power is too terrifying. He has already reached the half-step king realm. It can't be right? This Duanyu is so powerful? Looks like we've underestimated him before. This is the universe-suppressing fist. In Duanye's hands, it's even more terrifying. Why do I feel that he has already surpassed Prince Lingfeng? No wonder the Duan clan wants him to be the new Prince Tianwu. One after another, cries of surprise sounded. It could be said that Duanye's power had indeed shocked everyone. Even Prince Anil and the other two frowned. In truth, this power was not weaker than theirs. It's over. Lin Xian definitely won't be able to take down his opponent in a short time. He might even lose. It seemed like the elders of the Palace of Gods of War were dead for sure. At this moment, everyone had the same thought. This is the first move. Die for me. In front, Duanyu coldly snorted. Carrying an incomparably resplendent light and the 49 golden swords, he quickly charged forward. Chapter 1451. That's the first move. Die. In front of him, Duan Yu snorted coldly. With a bright light and 49 golden swords, he quickly charged forward. Lin Xian was as still as a mountain. His eyes were cold like the god of death. He had no intention of making a move. What? He didn't make a move. What is he doing? This Lin guy must be scared silly. Sure enough, he was a piece of trash. He must have used despicable means to kill young Master Lingfeng. Now in front of everyone, he was no match for Duan Yu. Go kill him, kill this kid. The Duan family disciples roared crazily. Seeing this, Duan Yu's lips curled into a sneer. A piece of trash indeed. Just as he guessed, Duan Yu did not have any real skills. Thinking of this, he was even more pleased. The power in his hand increased by 30%, turning into a golden dragon and charging forward. However, facing such a terrifying fist and 49 golden swords, Lin Xian only gently extended his palm and grabbed forward. Look, he's making a move. What? He wants to grab the golden swords with his bare hands? Oh my god, what is he doing? He must be crazy. It's over. That kid must be crazy. He dares to take the Qingquan fist head-on. Doesn't he know the power of the Qingquan fist? At this moment everyone exclaimed. Many people shook their heads and sighed, thinking that Lin Xian was too blind. Among them, young Master Anil and young Master Moonwalker frowned. Young Master Qilin sneered disdainfully. A piece of trash indeed. When Duan Yu saw Duan Yu grabbing his fist with his bare hands, he sneered. What an idiot. My Qingquan ring is terrifying. My body is no weaker than an earth-rank martial art. How dare you grab it with your bare hands? Today I'll break your palm. Boom. In the next moment, a low sound came from the front. It was like a thunderclap, shaking everyone's body. However, the earth-shattering explosion that was expected did not happen. There was no blood, no screams, only a low sound. Then there was nothing. What happened? Everyone was puzzled and stretched their necks to look ahead. Then, their jaws dropped as if they had seen a ghost. Because in front of him, Lin Xian was still as immovable as a mountain, standing with his hands behind his back. At this moment, he stretched out a hand and firmly grasped the golden fist. The surrounding 49 sharp swords seemed to have been nailed into the void, unable to slash down at all. Caught. How is this possible? Everyone widened their eyes and rubbed their eyes. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Duan Yu's face was also filled with shock, and his mind went blank. He couldn't believe it. How could his opponent catch his Qingquan fist? No, that's impossible. This isn't real. Damn it, how did you do it? He roared crazily and wanted to withdraw his fist. But he found that his opponent's palm was like a cage, tightly holding his fist. He couldn't move it at all. Lin Xian's eyes were as cold as the sword of a god. He stared at Duan Yu and coldly said, "First move." What? Duan Yu was stunned. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be checking the moves. Did he really want to save the palace of gods of war elders? However, before anyone could react, Duan Yu let out a blood-curdling scream. Lin Xian clenched his fist and instantly, the 49 golden swords surrounding him were broken in half. As if they were sliced apart by a divine weapon, they shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. Not only that, Duan Yu's entire arm was broken, revealing the white bone underneath. Duan Yu's miserable scream was heard. His entire face was distorted and terrifying sweat dripped down his face. However, it wasn't over yet. In the next moment, Lin Xian lifted his leg and kicked Duan Yu's stomach, causing him to kneel on the ground and vomit blood. Second move. Lin Xian continued to speak coldly. Everyone's mind went blank, and they stood rooted to the ground. What's going on? What's going on? 2 moves, only 2 moves. The powerful Duan Yu was defeated. 2 moves, that was Duan Yu. He was a genius who was about to become young Master Tianwu, and was extremely powerful. How could he be defeated so easily? At this moment, everyone couldn't believe it. That's impossible. Could it be an illusion? Damn it, why is Lin Xian so powerful? Is he really defeated? Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. At this moment, young Master Anil, young Master Treadmoon, and young Master Lingfeng couldn't remain calm. They stood up abruptly and stared at the voice in front of them with sharp eyes. One had to know that Duan Yu was about to become young Master Tianwu, and his strength wasn't much weaker than theirs. Even if they were to attack, they wouldn't be able to defeat him within 20 moves. But now, Duan Yu was defeated in 2 moves. How was that possible? Didn't this mean that Lin Xian's strength was even greater than theirs? Impossible, this is impossible. I don't believe it. Young Master Qilin shook his head frantically. Damn it, this kid must have used some secret technique, or consumed some elixir. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to be so powerful. He was extremely shocked. Previously, he was still disdainful, and thought that Lin Xian wouldn't be able to defeat Duan Yu. But now, Duan Yu was defeated in just 2 moves, and even lost an arm. The scene was too shocking. It was as if he was struck by lightning, and was dumbfounded. The Duan family was even more shocked. Even Wu Zun, and the old ancestor of the Duan family were stunned. That was because they knew of Duan Ye's strength. He wasn't much weaker than young Master Anil and the rest. That was why they were confident that Duan Yu would become the new young Master Tianwu. And this time, the competition between Duan Yu and Lin Xian was approved by them. That was because they wanted to use this competition to clear Duan Ye's name. But who knew that such a change would happen? In an instant, everyone in the valley was stunned. In the center of the valley, Duan Yu knelt on the ground and vomited blood. He was extremely shocked, and his mind was blank. He couldn't understand why his opponent was so powerful. It was completely beyond his expectations. Impossible. This is impossible. He wouldn't believe it even if he died, because in his expectations, the one who knelt down and begged for mercy should be Lin Xian. But now why was it him? He shouted frantically, and the golden armor on his body flickered. He exploded with a powerful force, and wanted to counterattack. But in the next moment, he was welcomed by a long leg. Bang! A low sound echoed in the valley. Lin Xian raised his leg, and stomped Duan Ye's head into the mud. You've lost in the 3rd move. A cold voice sounded. Lin Xian's body emitted a terrifying aura. It was like a giant abyss beast that wanted to devour people. From the beginning to the end, he didn't display any dazzling martial skills, and his body didn't emit any resplendent light. Even his feet didn't move from the spot. Chapter 1452. From the beginning to the end, Lin Xian did not display any dazzling martial skills, nor did his body emit any resplendent light. In fact, he did not even move his feet from the spot. Even so, he still defeated Duan Yu with ease. Now he had even stepped on Duan Yu's head into the ground. This scene truly shocked everyone. It took a long time for the Duan clan's warriors to react. Immediately they roared crazily. Each and every one of them looked incomparably ferocious, as if they were demons. They roared and charged forward. "Kid, you're courting death. Hurry up and let go of Duan Yu, or it'll make you wish you were dead. Kneel down and accept your death." After a series of cold shouts, the 5 elders quickly rushed out like lightning and charged towards Lin Xian. They were mad. They were really mad. Duan Yu was the hope of the Duan clan's younger generation, and they planned to push him to the position of Tianwu Prince. However, they did not expect Duan Yu to be defeated at such an important time. Moreover, he was defeated so thoroughly. Not only that, even his head had been stomped into the ground. This was no longer a slap to the Duan clan's face, but a kick to their face. Therefore, the 5 elders could not tolerate it at all. With a roar, they quickly charged forward. The 5 of them had extremely powerful auras, which had reached the peak of the 9th heaven of the martial highness realm. At that moment, the 5 of them joined forces like gods, and their powerful auras shook the surroundings. Everyone cried out in alarm, because when these 5 elders joined hands, they were really too powerful. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on everyone's hearts, making it difficult for them to breathe. Boom, boom, boom. The void trembled as 5 giant palms probed and quickly grabbed at Lin Xian, as if they were going to crush him. The 5 palms covered the sky and emitted a resplendent light that completely covered the sky. However, Lin Xian still stood with his hands behind his back and his foot on Duan Yu's head, looking around disdainfully. At the next moment, he suddenly turned his head and looked behind him as he shouted coldly, "Get lost!" This voice was like a clap of thunder, turning into countless light waves that blasted upwards. Bam, bam, bam. At the next moment, the 5 giant palms in the sky exploded, turning into countless streams of qi that scattered in all directions. What? It's broken. How is that possible? Everyone was shocked, not daring to believe it. Those were 5 elders at the peak of the 9th rank. If they joined forces, even young Master Tianwu would have to take them seriously. However, at this moment, his attack was actually shattered so easily. This Lin Xian was just too strong. At this moment, everyone was extremely shocked. They realized that Lin Xian's strength was truly unfathomable. As for the 5 elders, their expressions changed enormously. They did not expect the other party to be so powerful. With just a voice, he was able to shatter their attacks. Damn it, this kid is too strange. His strength is beyond our expectations. Hurry up and kill him with all your might. The 5 of them looked at each other and roared. The spiritual energy in their bodies burned rapidly, forming countless rays of light that shone in all directions like the sun. Lin Xian coldly snorted, his gaze like lightning. "Stubborn fools. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." In the next moment he punched out. The raging dragon will in his body circulated, and boundless qi and blood surged, letting out the roar of a dragon. With a punch, heaven and earth shook, as if a huge dragon was roaring and rushing out. Explode! This punch was like the Buddha's divine fist, carrying an incomparably terrifying power as it blasted forward. In the next moment, the bodies of the 5 Duan family elders exploded, turning into 5 clouds of blood mist that floated in the air. What? They died just like that? How is this possible? At this moment, everyone stood up, unable to believe it. Those were 5 at the peak of the 9th rank. When they joined forces, their strength was extremely powerful. However, they were easily killed just like that. Young Master Anil, young Master Moonwalker, and young Master Qilin's faces also changed, their expressions extremely solemn. Killing 5 at the peak of the 9th rank, with one punch, was probably something they could not do. Damn it, what cultivation level has this kid reached? How can he be so terrifying? Could it be that he has surpassed the half-step king realm? At this moment, the 3 of them no longer had their previous calmness. Especially young Master Qilin, his face was terrifyingly gloomy. Thinking back to his previous attitude, he did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. But now, it seemed that the other party's strength had completely surpassed his. This was something that the arrogant him could not accept. The Duan family's patriarch's face was gloomy and his eyes were cold, because the strength of the young man below was indeed beyond his expectations. However, he had already made up his mind that no matter what happened today, he would completely eradicate the other party to prevent future troubles. Marshal Revered stood up all of a sudden, the black wind fluttering, murderous intent surging. He took a deep breath, like a god of war, looking down in front of him, and said coldly, "Kid, take your foot off and let Duan Yu go." He was indeed shocked that the other party could kill 5 at the peak of the 9th rank with one punch, which showed that his strength was extremely powerful. It was even possible that he had surpassed the half-step king realm. This made his heart overflow with killing intent. But the other party was still stepping on Duan Yu, so he could only endure. Only by freeing Duan Yu could he kill him. At this moment, several elders of the Divine Bird Palace also shouted coldly, "Kid, quickly let go of young Master Duan Yu, or there will be no way for you to live. Young man, I hope you don't make a mistake." On the other side, several elders of the Shen family also stood up and shouted coldly. In addition, a few 6th-rank sects and families also shouted coldly. The reason was simple. Although Lin Xian had shown great strength, so what? He was still not a king. And the Duan family's patriarch was a true king. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he could not beat him. So in the end, the Duan family was the winner. Now they naturally had to stand on the Duan family's side. Lin Xian stepped on Duan Yu's head and sneered. "What? Until now, you still have a high and mighty attitude? Do you really think you can control everything? I will let you know that the strength you are so proud of is laughable in my eyes. Kid, quickly let go of Yu, or I will kill all the elders of the Palace of War Gods. You won't be able to save a single one." "Are you threatening me?" Lin Xian's eyes darkened. Then a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "I hate it when people threaten me." The next moment, he exerted force on the sole of his foot and stomped down. Poochie! Suddenly, Duan Yu's head split apart like a watermelon. What? He made a move. He actually made a move. How dare he make a move? Everyone could not believe it, and the elders of the Shen family and the Divine Bird Palace also opened their mouths wide, stunned on the spot. They did not expect that the other party would really dare to make a move. Wu Zun roared, his expression extremely ferocious, and the other elders of the Duan family also roared like crazy. "Ah, kid, I will kill you. Kill you. Do it. Kill those old fellows from the Palace of War Gods for me. Leave none alive. I will tear them into pieces." That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.